Chapter 250. In the bathroom, the sound of running water came, and Su Qianxi couldn't help feeling nervous. Deep breath, exhale, inhale. When Li Xicheng came out, he was only wrapped in a bath towel. This was his habit. He never wiped the water off his body. His slightly curly black hair was still dripping water, and his wheat-colored skin glowed seductively under the warm yellow light of the bedroom. Wow! So handsome! Su Qianxi blushed, holding the bathrobe and rubbing against him. His entire body, inside and out, had been washed clean. She had never taken a shower so seriously. After she was done, she even put some body lotion on. However, thinking that Li Xicheng was very likely to bite her, she wiped the body lotion off. Thinking of the previous failures, Su Qianxi couldn't help feeling nervous. Taking another deep breath in the mirror, she finally walked out of the bathroom with a nervous and perturbed mood. When she came out, the light had been adjusted to a romantic dusk color. The white quilt on the bed was arched up. It was Li Xicheng. Phew. Don't be nervous. Su Qianxi stepped forward, carefully lifted the quilt, and lay down. However, she found that the man had fallen asleep. Oh! Su Qianxi suddenly felt that she had prepared for nothing. In this situation, he actually fell asleep? She reached out and put her arms around his waist. Li Xicheng had put on a silk nightgown. It was thin and stuck to his body, outlining his well-defined muscles. At this moment, his eyes were closed, and his breathing was even. He was sleeping very, very deeply, thinking of how he had just rushed back, with dark circles under his eyes and sunken cheeks, Su Qianxi thought. He was probably exhausted. Su Qianxi stared at his sleeping face, slowly looking down from his eyebrows. His dark eyebrows, closed eyes, and 2 rows of thick black eyelashes, so beautiful. Su Qianxi watched and did not know when she fell asleep. Perhaps because Li Xicheng's arms were warmer, Su Qianxi couldn't help burrowing into his arms. In the middle of the night, Li Xicheng was woken up by her. Seeing that she was sleeping like a child, he smiled, adjusted her sleeping position, closed his eyes, and fell asleep with her. The effect of the press conference was very significant. Almost the entire Kingstown and even the entire country knew who Su Qianxi was. However, Su Qianxi's name had not only spread out, but there were also all kinds of rumors. For example, the relationship between Tang Menjing and Li Xicheng. Another example was the relationship between the Tang and Li families. Another example was the relationship between Su Qianxi and Song Yifan. Rong Anna never liked to read the newspaper at breakfast. However, when she saw the photo and the title of the headline, she couldn't help but be attracted. He reached for it and read the title aloud, Explosive. International Song is the father-in-law of the Li family. The attached photo was a photo of Song Yifan and Su Qianxi at the party. The two were standing a bit apart, and Song Yifan looked at Su Qianxi with obvious tenderness. Footsteps came from upstairs. Rong Anna took a bite of the sandwich and looked at the figure coming this way. Her long hair was combed into an elegant and gentle woman's bun. She wore a close-fitting long cheongsam embroidered with crimson-purple flowers that made her already noble and aloof woman look even more beautiful and breathtaking. Chapter 251. There was no class the next morning, so she did not set the alarm clock. When she woke up, it was already past 9 a.m. Opening her eyes, she saw Li Xicheng's handsome face in deep sleep. His skin was smooth and delicate, and she could barely see any pores. His arm was still on her body, and his waist was a bit sore. She carefully turned sideways, reached out, and gently held his arm, lifted it up, and moved it away. However, when she was about to put his hand down, his hand suddenly went down and wrapped around her waist. Li Xicheng held her tightly in his arms. Before she had time to be surprised, her red lips were sealed. Being kissed, Su Qianxi suddenly woke up. Awake? His voice was a bit hoarse, with a hint of drowsiness. Completely awake. Li Xicheng saw her dazed look and brushed her long hair away from her face. I was too tired last night, and now. His big hand slid down from the side of her face and easily lifted her silk nightgown. Su Qianxi was well prepared last night and did not wear any underwear. She suddenly shivered, and her sensitive body subconsciously curled up. Don't be afraid. Li Xicheng turned over and gently kissed her lips. I'll be gentle. Su Qianxi blushed again. Looking at him, she inexplicably thought of a saying, a man's desire is the strongest in the morning. His rough big hand covered her face and slowly slid down, rubbing her neck and collarbone. Su Qianxi shivered sensitively and could not help looking up. However, she inadvertently caught a glimpse of his burning eyes. His innate cold eyes were tinged with an obvious fire, like the eyes of a hunting wolf that had seen a little white rabbit, with a hint of mockery and desire. Under his gaze, Su Qianxi wanted to turn into an ostrich and bury herself in the quilt. Shrinking her neck, she blushed and looked away. Don't look at me. Her voice was incredibly flirtatious. Su Qianxi heard her own voice and was startled. Was it really her voice? Why did it sound like she was deliberately making love to him? Li Xicheng's eyes became darker. He stopped teasing her and chuckled. Leaning down, he kissed her face and neck. The wet feeling slowly moved down, and she felt uncomfortable all over. Involuntarily, she lifted her legs and climbed onto his body. Her nightgown was peeled off, and she clearly felt his big hand pass through her back. His slightly calloused palm gently rubbed the delicate skin on her back, bringing with it tiny particles. Uncomfortable, this feeling was too unbearable. Su Qianxi felt uncomfortable, but she couldn't tell exactly what was wrong. Unable to help herself, she twisted her body and looked at him with blurred eyes. She whispered, "Mr. Li." Li Xicheng paused and pressed his whole body against hers. He whispered dangerously, "What did you call me?" Su Qianxi knew she called him the wrong way, but she had called him that for so many years. How could she change it so easily? Under his gaze, she finally corrected herself. "Honey, yes, what's up?" Li Xicheng curled his lips in satisfaction. Uncomfortable, Li Xicheng's big hand moved down and found that she was already deeply in love with him. Chapter 252. Su Qianxi realized it and immediately bit her lower lip, closing her mouth. However, the waves of numbness coming from her lower body caused her to be utterly defeated. Louis Han heard it and felt something was wrong. He asked, "What's wrong, Qianqian? Did something happen?" Su Qianxi wanted to speak, but he was moving more and more forcefully. Biting her lower lip, she arched her back and put her hands on his back, her nails deeply embedded in his flesh. "Qianqian?" Louis Han panicked and sat up on the bed. "Don't scare me." "Hello?" Li Xicheng worked hard and whispered in her ear, "Tell him what you're doing." Su Qianxi gritted her teeth and slowly moved up and down with him. The king-sized bed gently swayed with their movements, and the man's unrestrained low breathing was clearly heard on the other side of the phone. Louis Han felt like he was going crazy. He had a bad feeling in his heart and shouted, "Qianqian, where are you? I'm coming for you. Talk to me." Hearing his voice, Su Qianxi knew that he was really anxious. Biting her lower lip, she wanted to speak, but the man on top of her kept accelerating, moving so fast that she almost had no time to breathe. "Qianqian?" Louis Han had already pulled out the needle in his hand. Without even putting on his shoes, he got out of bed and rushed out. A young nurse saw him and quickly stopped him. "Sir, you can't run around. The wound is not healed yet." Su Qianxi heard it and knew what was going on. She opened her mouth and wanted to speak, but when she let go of her lower lip, the words turned into a light moan and were clearly transmitted to the phone. Louis Han was silent. Su Qianxi gasped and said intermittently, "I'm fine." Louis Han did not speak again. Li Xicheng curled his lips in satisfaction and hung up the phone. Throwing the phone on the bedside table, he moved even harder. Finally, there was no one to disturb them. Li Xicheng put his big hand on her back and helped her sit on top of him. Wet kisses on her neck, he whispered, "Say it. I want to hear it." This position was too deep, and Su Qianxi was about to burst into tears. She shouted, "It hurts. Get out, it hurts." Holding her, he said in a low voice with a hint of danger, "If it hurts, scream." Su Qianxi finally couldn't take it anymore and let out a sound that made her extremely ashamed. Li Xicheng was getting more and more aroused. He turned over and pressed her down, lifting her legs high and thrusting hard. Seeing her emotional expression, Li Xicheng subconsciously thought of Louis Han. When he was in New York, he had received a large amount of information through a phone call with a lot of care and concern. The video that Tang Menjing edited certainly meant to frame Su Qianxi. However, if she had not been so close to Louis Han, how could Tang Menjing have collected so many crimes? It was very painful. However, it only stimulated the beastly nature of the man. Su Qianxi screamed and hugged him tightly. Her mind was blank, but she heard his deep and mellow voice. "If Louis Han did this to you, would you call him that?" His voice was low and deep, filled with jealousy. Chapter 253. Opening her legs, Li Xicheng put her legs on his shoulder. Seeing that, he felt sorry for her and blamed himself. At the same time, there was an uncontrollable fire burning in him. "Calm down, Li Xicheng." Taking a deep breath, Li Xicheng picked up a bit of ointment and gently applied it. The cold feeling made the pain go away. She still covered her face with the pillow and did not move it away. He restrained himself. After applying the medicine, he took away her pillow and said, "Okay, put on your clothes and go down to dinner." Su Qianxi looked at him and said, "Okay, get dressed and go down to dinner." Getting up, he opened the closet and picked out a white sleeveless dress. It was already autumn. Thinking about it, Li Xicheng found a light yellow dress with mid-sleeves. Rummaging through his closet, he found some underwear and turned around. Su Qianxi was speechless. Why did it feel so? Seeing him holding her clothes, "Yeah, I'll do it myself, I'll help you." "No, you go out." "I'll do it myself." Su Qianxi had already pulled the quilt over herself. Blushing, she reached out and took the bra from his hand. He did not care about her and lifted the quilt. As she screamed, he lifted her naked body and let her sit on him. Su Qianxi's body stiffened. Clearly feeling the heat in his body, she did not even dare to move. Li Xicheng moved closer and whispered in her ear, "I'll help you." The hot breath was on her face, and she blushed even more. Even the tips of her ears were flushed. This man was so bad. Su Qianxi found that she was being controlled by him, and there was nothing she could do. But, it was so enjoyable. What should she do? Li Xicheng helped her get dressed, but his movements were a bit jerky. Along the way, Su Qianxi did not dare to look at him. Finally, she zipped up and jumped off barefoot, wanting to run away. Li Xicheng could not help but laugh. Looking at her back, he reminded her, "Shoes." "Oh." Su Qianxi put on her shoes and went to the bathroom. Inadvertently, she looked up and found that she was wearing very conservative clothes. The collar was so high that it reached his neck, hiding all the crazy marks inside, not revealing a single trace. The length of the sleeves was also perfect for the current weather. Wiping her hands, Su Qianxi felt sweet. Li Xicheng had accepted her. This man belonged to her. She opened the door and walked out, still unable to suppress the smile on her face. Li Xicheng was also infected by her joy. His cold eyes were much softer than usual. When they walked down the stairs together, Nanny Rong looked at the time and exclaimed, "Oh, it's past 1 o'clock. Come and have dinner. It's still hot." Nanny Rong looked at the time and exclaimed, "Hey, it's already 1 o'clock. Su Qianxi blushed. Why did she feel that Nanny Rong had seen through everything? Under Nanny Rong's probing gaze, Su Qianxi only lowered her head to eat and did not dare to say anything. The phone in the villa rang. After Nanny Rong answered, her expression changed. She turned around and said, "Young master, sir is looking for you." Nanny Rong usually addressed Li Xicheng as sir. Only when they were in the old house, she would call him sir, and sir was Li Xicheng's father. Li Xicheng put down his bowl and walked over to take the phone. "Dad! You brat, get back here, right now." The voice was furious. After a pause, he said, "Alone. Don't bring your wife." Su Qianxi asked, "What happened?" Chapter 254. About 10 seconds later, he hung up and looked at Su Qianxi. "What's wrong?" Seeing his expression, Su Qianxi felt a bit uneasy. At this critical moment, Li Xicheng's father suddenly called. "Did something happen to Tang Menjing?" "Nothing. You eat first. I'll take you to class." "Oh." Su Qianxi looked down, but her heart felt heavy. She could not eat the delicate food in front of her. Looking up at him, she asked, "What's wrong?" He shook his head. He did not know. However, his father rarely lost his temper. The number of times he would yell at him like today was definitely not more than 3 times in his life. It was definitely not a small matter. Not wanting Su Qianxi to worry, he just shook his head. After dinner, Li Xicheng walked her to the school gate and kissed her on the forehead. Su Qianxi got out of the car and watched his car drive away. She felt more and more uneasy. On the busy campus, many students saw her and immediately came up to her. "Su Qianxi, were you okay last night? Those people were too much, especially Tang Menjing's mother. How could she be the wife of a rich family? Mr. Li is not that kind of person." We all believe. Su Qianxi could not bear it anymore. Her mind was in a mess. She forced a smile and said that she was not feeling well and went to class first. Before entering the old house of the Li family, Li Xicheng could feel the pressure that was lower than normal. Lu Sa was pacing back and forth in the living room. Seeing him, she hurriedly called, "Master, you're finally back. Mr. Li is waiting for you in the study." "What's wrong?" Li Xicheng asked. "You should go in first. Miss Tang." Lu Sa hesitated, which made Li Xicheng's heart sink. Her again. Li Xicheng had already guessed what was going on. Seeing Lu Sa's hesitation, he nodded and said, "I know. Don't worry. It's fine." Lu Sa looked a bit relaxed. "That's good. You have to take care of Miss Tang as well. I used to think she was a nice girl, but now. How could she be so shameless now? Did she really think she could get married just because she was pregnant? Second young master is not that kind of person." Before he finished, his phone rang. It was Cheng Yu. "Boss, I got it. Send it to the old mansion." "Yes." Hanging up, Li Xicheng nodded at Lu Sa and walked into the study. Before he went in, he heard the sound of crying. Tang Menjing's eyes were red and swollen. She was hugging Mrs. Tang. Seeing Li Xicheng coming in, she seemed to be scared, shrank back, and said weakly, "Brother Xicheng." Li Xicheng looked at Tang Menjing's belly. Today, she was wearing a tight black dress. Her 3-month-old belly was slightly bulging. Her oval-shaped face had now become a little rounder, and her whole body was rounder than before. Feeling his gaze, Tang Menjing touched her belly and stood behind Mrs. Tang. Mrs. Tang sneered and said in a sarcastic tone, "Here comes the one who abandons me." Chapter 255. Li Xiao was very angry, which could be heard from his voice. In the study, Qin Shuhua was standing not far from Mrs. Tang. Behind Mrs. Tang was Tang Menjing, and next to her was Tang Zhenghao. Except for Tang Mengqing, everyone in the Tang family was there. Li Xicheng already knew what was going on. Looking at his father, there was no fear in his cold eyes. He asked slowly, "Why?" Li Xiao was amused and asked, "Why? You did this yourself. How dare you ask why?" Then, he grabbed 2 pieces of paper from the table and threw them at Li Xicheng's face. However, the paper was too light, and Li Xicheng caught it in his hand. At first glance, he saw the eye-catching title, Lie Detector Test Report. Looking down slowly, Li Xicheng skimmed through the words. His cold eyes narrowed, and a deep thought flashed through his mind. Li Xiao was so angry that his hands were trembling. Pointing at Li Xicheng, he yelled, "I should have forced you to join the army. Look at your brothers. They didn't do this to me." In Li Xiao's study, there were all kinds of medals of honor hanging. That mighty and domineering military uniform clearly displayed Li Xiao's extraordinary military rank. Not only was he a major general, but even his 2 sons had done him a great job. Li Beixing had become a major at a young age, and his younger son, Li Jinnan, was already a captain. Li Xicheng had been a maverick since childhood. When other children were playing with mud and peeing the bed, he began to study the map of the world, determined to be the second Columbus and discover the new world. When other children were learning to sing and dance, he held a bamboo high and yelled to defeat fascism. While other children fell in love at puberty, he was immersed in his studies. He learned everything he should and shouldn't learn in one breath. Later on, he hired several tutors, but none of them could stay. They were all scared away by his terrifying humility. Finally, when Li Xicheng graduated from college, Li Xiao wanted him to be a soldier like himself, to protect the country and do his part for the country. But this kid actually registered a company on his own without saying a word. Moreover, it was already a small-scale company with a sizable income. She had thought that she did not need to worry about Li Xicheng anymore. However, she did not expect that no matter how sensible and decent a man was, he would still make mistakes that all men would make. Li Xiao was so angry that he couldn't even eat. After reading both pages, Li Xicheng looked away and said, "Was the lie detector experiment done in front of you?" Li Xiao trembled with anger and shouted, "Do you still need to do it in front of me? This report already explains everything. So you didn't see it with your own eyes?" Li Xicheng's voice was cold. "Then why do you think she is telling the truth? You bastard!" Mrs. Tang was so angry that she wanted to punch Li Xicheng but was stopped by Tang Menjing. Chapter 256. Outsiders? Mrs. Tang screamed. "If it were not for Su Qianxi, our Tang Menjing would have become your wife long ago. She would not have to suffer like this." Li Xicheng looked at Mrs. Tang, narrowed his eyes, and said thoughtfully, "It turns out that shamelessness is hereditary. I have learned something new today." Tang Menjing and Mrs. Tang's expressions immediately changed. Tang Zhenghao's face darkened as he roared, "Li Xicheng! We are here today to ask for an explanation. Don't change the subject. What a coincidence. I also want an explanation from you." Li Xicheng rolled up the test report in his hand and slowly sneered. "Your daughter not only accused me of slander, framed my wife, caused my child to miscarry, and even framed my wife in the street. Now, with her pregnant belly, she insists that it was me who did it and wants to forcibly destroy my relationship with my wife. What explanation do you have for me?" Although he had gotten justice one by one, he had not only screwed up Fu Zetian, but also shut down Tang Menjing and the Tang family's companies one by one. He had also made Tang Menjing use all her tricks, but in the end, she reaped what she sowed. However, since they had come to him, there was no reason for him to let them go. Tang Zhenghao did not expect to be accused by Li Xicheng before he could say anything. Hearing Tang Menjing's accusations, he looked at his daughter. Tang Menjing noticed that her father was shaken. She immediately gritted her teeth and sobbed, "Li Xicheng, you know very well whether it was you or not. If it were not you, do you think I would have let that person touch me? If it were not your child, do you think I would have kept it? You know, I like you. That's why I did this, Brother Xicheng. Then let's do a blood test. Li Xicheng's face was cold, indifferent to her words. He looked at his father and said, let's do a DNA test to prove your son's innocence. No one would be willing to bear such a heavy responsibility for nothing. Li Xiao knew his son's character very well. Although he was not a gentleman, he dared to admit what he had done. If he said he did not, then he did not. However, lie detector. How do you explain that? Tang Zhenghao was furious. A woman is willing to be with you and give birth to your child. You not only denied it, but also humiliated her in such a way. Li Xicheng, you are an animal. Then what's the one who wants to rely on the beast wholeheartedly? Tang Zhenghao was speechless and trembled with anger. After a long while, he cursed, you are an asshole. The facts are in front of you, and you still deny it. Do you really think my daughter is a pushover? Li Xicheng sneered and said coldly, don't worry, I have evidence. Tang asked. Tang Menjiang, I, Li, and Li. Suddenly, her pocket vibrated. She took out her phone and unlocked it. It was a text message, oh no, Z is working for Li Xicheng. He has gotten the surveillance video of you drunk in Australia. Seeing this, Tang, and Mying, Li, Heng, Tang. However, the child in her belly was his. Why should she panic? At that moment, Lu Sa knocked on the door, walked in, and said, Sir, Mr. Li, there is a Miss Cheng. She said she is Mr. Li's assistant and is here to deliver something for him. Chapter 257. Cheng Yu quickly came in, holding a tablet in her hand. Boss. Cheng Yu shouted and then nodded slightly to the people around her who were meeting for the first time. She was inevitably nervous. Especially when she saw all kinds of things about soldiers in the study, she couldn't help trembling in awe. Don't be nervous, Li Xicheng said lightly. Give it to me. Cheng Yu was embarrassed, opened it, and handed the tablet over. However, her eyes were involuntarily attracted by the only acquaintance in the room besides Li Xicheng. Tang Menjiang was really pregnant. Her belly was slightly bulging, and she looked a little fat. At this moment, her eyes were red and swollen. Looking at her, she seemed to be nervous. Cheng Yu slightly raised an eyebrow, and a bit of contempt flashed in her eyes. She knew all the truth. That night in Australia, after Li Xicheng left, she was also driven away. However, Cheng Yu still couldn't bear to leave such a drunk woman at the door. After thinking about it, she still went back. However, when she went back, the door of the room had been closed. She tried to knock, put her ear on the door for a moment, and there was a sound that made her blush and her heart beat faster. The door of the hotel was very soundproof, and Cheng Yu could only hear her shouting, Brother Xicheng. At that time, her first reaction was, did boss come back? She tried to call him and found that he had arrived at the airport. The next day, she got up early and wanted to call him. At that time, she saw a white man with blue eyes and blonde hair walking out of the room in a hurry. That man was definitely not Li Xicheng. Now he wanted to blame it on boss. Did he really think that she was just a decoration? Li Xicheng's fingers slid a few times on the tablet, using the leather of the tablet to make the screen face everyone. On the screen, the high-definition surveillance video clearly showed Li Xicheng's face, and the surveillance video showed 3 rooms in a row. Li Xicheng walked to the door of a room and knocked. Tang Menjiang inside opened the door. Tang Zhenghao saw his daughter clinging to Li Xicheng with his own eyes and suddenly felt ashamed. She was wearing so revealing that even he, as a father, felt. Not to mention Li Xicheng, a young man. However, to her surprise, he pushed her away and looked at her with a cold face, colder and scarier than usual. What made Tang Zhenghao feel even more humiliated was that Tang Menjiang was crying and throwing a tantrum, clinging to him shamelessly. Her snow-white breasts were pressed against him, too big for him to look at. This kind of seduction, which man could resist? Corrupting the reputation of the sect, Tang Zhenghao turned around and glared at Tang Menjing. The latter shivered and hid behind Mrs. Tang. Looking at the screen coldly, Li Xicheng stared at Tang Menjing with his sharp eyes. Tang Menjing blushed and gritted her teeth. I was drunk that day, but the baby is yours. She was sure that the man that night was definitely Li Xicheng. It couldn't be anyone else's. Impossible. Cheng Yu's face was filled with contempt. Death was at hand, yet he was still so stubborn. But in front of the Tang family, he couldn't show it too obviously. Chapter 258. The sudden black screen made both Li Xicheng and Cheng Yu dumbfounded. What happened? Cheng Yu was a bit dazed, taking the tablet and turning it around. There was power, and it was full. However, after looking through the entire folder, she could not find the video that she had painstakingly cut from Australia. What happened? Cheng Yu looked dumbfounded. It was playing just now. Why did it suddenly stop? The video was at a critical moment. After Li Xicheng was dragged into the room by her that day, he had pushed her away and left before he could even step into the room. However, the video stopped at this part. In the eyes of those who did not know the truth, it was too easy for them to imagine. The atmosphere around Li Xicheng suddenly became cold, and he said in a deep voice, "Solve it." Cheng Yu shrunk her neck and said, "I'll call Luo Zhan." Ask. Thinking about it, she said, "I'll pick it up." When she called Luo Zhan, he was sleeping soundly. Seeing it was Cheng Yu, he immediately picked up the phone and shouted, "Hey, Cheng, did you miss me?" Li Xicheng was immediately disgusted. He grunted coldly and said, "Yes, I missed you." Luo Zhan suddenly shivered, sat up, and said, "It's you. Oh, look at my old eyes. I thought it was Assistant Cheng." But when he took it out, it was Cheng Yu. Luo Zhan wondered why Li Xicheng would call him with Cheng Yu's phone. "What about the thing I asked you to do?" "It's done." "Did Assistant Cheng give it to you?" "Yes." "Then. That's it. Gone." Luo Zhan was silent, and he had a faint ominous feeling in his heart. What happened? Li Xicheng briefly explained, and Luo Zhan immediately turned over and turned on the computer. When he turned it on, he saw the blatant provocation on the computer screen, which made Luo Zhan furious. "Top Hacker Z, welcome back." Behind it was a big smiley face. "Damn." Luo Zhan was furious. "I was hacked." Then, she ignored Li Xicheng and started typing on the keyboard. The thief who invaded his computer acted very poorly. It could be seen that he had tried his best to hide his whereabouts, but in Luo Zhan's eyes, there was still nowhere to hide. Luo Zhan easily found the IP of the intrusion. He hacked in and found that this person turned out to be one of the few IPs he had tracked. A gunman hired by Tang Menjing? F***CK. Luo Zhan was furious. "It's this guy again." Li Xicheng's face darkened and he asked in a deep voice, "Where is the video?" "Video?" Luo Zhan's eyes widened, and he immediately clicked into the encrypted folder. "It's over. I've been infiltrated." Luo Zhan was too conceited and did not set the firewall high. Instead, he set a small trap in the firewall. He didn't expect that this person would so brazenly hack into his account and destroy his video even if he had to risk the possibility of being discredited. Luo Zhan was going crazy. "What should we do? The video is gone." "Ha!" Li Xicheng chuckled in a low voice, but there was an indescribable gloominess and danger in his laughter. Luo Zhan shivered. He knew that Li Xicheng was really angry. Cleverly, he shouted, "I'll go steal another one. Wait for me for 10 minutes. No, 8 minutes, 7 minutes. As he spoke, he put down the phone and climbed over the wall to find the hotel. However, the folder that should have stored the video of that day was empty. Chapter 259. Hearing Luo Zhan's curse, Li Xicheng already knew what was going on. Holding Cheng Yu's cell phone, the more he held it, the tighter it became. His face was so cold that Cheng Yu took a step back. It's over, Li Xicheng was really angry this time. Even Cheng Yu had never seen him so angry. Did Luo Zhan really make a mistake at this moment? Seeing Li Xicheng's expression, Mrs. Tang sneered smugly in her heart. Is this your evidence? I saw with my own eyes that you went into my daughter's room. The video just now happened to be cut off at that place, so the result was self-evident. Li Xiao was disappointed, slammed the table, and roared, Li Xicheng, kneel. Li Xicheng threw the cell phone back to Cheng Yu. Although his face was gloomy, his tone was indescribably calm. You go back first. Cheng Yu heard that and hurriedly nodded, running away. Li Xicheng's father was even scarier than Li Xicheng. Sure enough, the boy still needed to be punished. However, would Li Xicheng really kneel? If he did, wouldn't he be admitting that he was innocent? The more Cheng Yu thought about it, the more she felt it was inappropriate. After thinking about it, she picked up the cell phone and called Su Qianxi. After Cheng Yu left, Li Xicheng closed the door of the study, turned around, and walked to Li Xiao's desk. Not me. Li Xicheng's eyes were firm, but there was a hint of mockery in them. You are my father. If you ask me to kneel, I dare not refuse, but, then kneel. Mrs. Tang was furious. You little bastard. Bah. Shut up. Tang Zhenghao stopped her, but seeing Li Xicheng like this, he felt indescribably happy. Wasn't the boy very capable? Let his father deal with him. Unexpectedly, Li Xicheng did not kneel. Instead, he stretched out his long fingers and slowly unbuttoned his suit, as elegant as a gentleman about to attend a ceremony. His eyes were cold and deep, and his face was not very good. However, every move of hers was indescribably graceful. Tang Menjing was so excited that she covered her belly with her hand. It was great that she was pregnant with his child. Li Xicheng took off his suit jacket, threw it on the ground, and said, Come on. Li Xiao was a little stunned, but then he seemed to think of something. He gritted his teeth angrily, stared at Li Xicheng, and roared, Li Xicheng. I will never admit to something I have not done. Li Xicheng's eyes were full of sarcasm. You know that, don't you? The descendants of the Li clan could not disobey the orders of their elders. If he disobeyed, he would be punished according to the family rules. Li Xicheng was ready to be punished by the family. Frightened, Qin Shuhua quickly shielded Li Xicheng behind her and said, Xicheng, let's talk this out. Don't make your father angry. Be a good boy and kneel down to apologize. I said it's not me, so it's not me. Li Xicheng interrupted Qin Shuhua. My last name is Li, and their last name is Tang. Why do you believe them instead of me? Mom, Dad, I'm very disappointed. Li Xiao was infuriated. He turned around and reached for the military whip behind his desk. Chapter 260. Looking at the military whip, Li Xicheng's eyes darkened. Tang Zhenghao and his wife saw it and were amused. Tang Menjing panicked and shouted, Uncle Li, don't. Years ago, he refused to follow Li Xiao's order to join the army. He knelt in the ancestral hall for a day and was whipped, but he did not change his mind. Li Xicheng was good at everything, but he was too stubborn. Once he made up his mind, even if you beat him to death, there would only be one result. The Tang family knew it, and so did the Li family. Li Xiao just wanted to scare him and did not really want to beat him. Seeing the obvious disappointment in his eyes, he felt bad. Holding the whip in his hand, Li Xiao deliberately waved it in front of Li Xicheng and said coldly, Let me ask you again. Did you do it? That was a military whip, which he had tasted before. It was very scary. One hit from the whip was enough to break his skin. The last time he was beaten, he had to stay in the hospital for half a month. However, he could not die. Looking at him and the whip in his hand, Li Xicheng said frankly, "I did not do it." His voice was very firm. Li Xiao's anger subsided. Swinging the whip, he said coldly, "Then let's do a DNA test." If his son said he did not do it, then he did not do it. A DNA test would make the Tang family give up. Dumbfounded, Mrs. Tang blurted out, "Stop." She had been looking forward to it for so long. Why would he stop? Li Xiao laughed and said, "He is not your son. Why do you care so much?" Mrs. Tang was speechless. She choked and then said weakly, "But your son, yes, DNA test." Qin Shuhua was scared to death. She had been standing behind her son and almost cried. But now that Li Xiao had stopped hitting her, she was still scared. She sobbed and said, "I believe you. Don't make your dad angry. Be good." Li Xicheng reached out and patted Qin Shuhua's back. "It's okay. Don't cry." Feeling very upset, Mrs. Tang said, "Are you just going to let it go? Are you too blind? You saw your son enter my daughter's room with your own eyes. Don't you need to take responsibility? I only saw your daughter seducing my son." Li Xiao shouted coldly. "I will never allow such a woman to marry into the Li family. It's just a child. We don't even know if he belongs to our family. Even if he does, we can afford to raise a child." Qin Shuhua felt that something was off. "Li Xiao, women shouldn't interrupt when men are talking." Li Xiao glared at Qin Shuhua. Tang Zhenghao trembled with anger and bellowed, "Good, good, Li Xiao, Li Xicheng. The evidence is right in front of you, yet you're still acting so shamelessly. I've really witnessed the extent of the Li clan's shamelessness. Didn't you want to do a DNA test? Let's do it. Amniocentesis will take 4 months. If we do it now." Tang Menjing's face was pale. "Then we'll wait for 4 months." Tang Zhenghao roared. "Isn't it more than 3 months now? At that time, I will use that DNA report to slap you in the face." Saying that, Tang Zhenghao walked out with his wife and daughter and ran into Su Qianxi, who was rushing back. Seeing Su Qianxi, the Tang family all looked unfriendly. Chapter 261. Hearing that, Su Qianxi felt as if her heart had been stabbed by a thorn, faintly aching. However, seeing the expressions of Mrs. Tang and Tang Zhenghao, and then looking at Tang Menjing, Su Qianxi had a mocking smile on her face. Looking at her as if she was looking at a fool, she asked in the same voice, "Do you think I will believe you?" Tang Menjing gritted her teeth and was about to say something, but Su Qianxi had already walked into the study. "I am most afraid that you have been framed without knowing it." Li Xiao's voice came out. Su Qianxi paused when she was about to open the door. Li Xicheng was still calm, and his voice came out unhurriedly. He said, "It's impossible." "Humph. That better be the case. But you have to keep an eye on your wife. Tang Menjing is much more cunning than your wife. Don't let your wife know, or it will be hard to clean up." Li Xiao did not have a good impression of the girl from the Tang family. After what happened today, he felt that this woman was not a good person. "Okay," Li Xicheng responded. Qin Shuhua said, "The lie detector is fine. Now we just need to do a DNA test." She took her hand back from the doorknob and slightly tightened, hanging on her side. There was nothing wrong with the lie detector. In other words, the child in Tang Menjing's belly was really Li Xicheng's. "Don't tell her what happened today," Li Xicheng said. "I am afraid she will overthink it." Su Qianxi stood at the door, feeling as if her heart had been stabbed by an awl. What did he mean by he was afraid she would overthink it? Was he afraid she would cry or make a scene? How could he, he had lived through it all in his previous lifetime, and this was just another one. When Li Xicheng walked out of the study, he heard Lu Sa calling for the second young mistress. However, he looked around and did not see Su Qianxi. Lu Sa came out with a fruit plate and asked in surprise, "Where is the second young mistress? Has she been here?" Li Xicheng asked. "Yes. I just saw her in the study." "Didn't you see her?" Hearing that, Li Xicheng had an ominous feeling. He went out and drove back to the house. Su Qianxi had returned home and was helping Nanny Rong cook. Seeing him return, she smiled and shouted, "You're back. Come wash your hands and get ready for dinner." There didn't seem to be anything strange in his smile. Li Xicheng stepped forward and asked, "Did you just go to the old house?" Su Qianxi asked. Su Qianxi's smile froze and she nodded. "Yes, I saw you were busy, so I came back." "Lu Sa told you?" "Yes. Let's eat." She put the plate in her hand on the table, but her body suddenly felt heavy. Li Xicheng hugged her from behind and buried his face in her neck. Su Qianxi's body stiffened, and her heart suddenly began to tremble. His trembling was frightening and hopeless. Li Xicheng noticed her uneasiness and thought she was nervous and shy. His lips curled into a relaxed smile as he whispered, "What should I do? I haven't seen you for only one afternoon, and I miss you already, liar, liar." Su Qianxi could not hold it back, and her tears rolled down. She took his hand away and wiped her tears. She turned around awkwardly and said hurriedly, "I'll go get the dishes." Chapter 262. During dinner, although Su Qianxi and Li Xicheng were face to face, neither of them spoke first. Nanny Rong also clearly felt something was wrong. The atmosphere was not right. Everything was wrong. However, everything was fine before they left the house in the afternoon. After dinner, Su Qianxi rushed to wash the dishes. Seeing that she was not in a good mood, Nanny Rong let her be. After washing the dishes, it was after 7 p.m. Nanny Rong cleaned up and went home. Li Xicheng sat on the sofa in the living room, handling the urgent documents that Cheng Yu had just sent over. So peaceful. It seemed no different from usual. However, Nanny Rong still felt a bit uneasy. "Nanny Rong, you can go home now." Su Qianxi smiled and wiped her hands with a clean cloth. Nanny Rong thought for a moment and whispered to Su Qianxi, "When you are unhappy, you can bully a man and be happy." Su Qianxi couldn't help smiling and nodded. After Nanny Rong left, Su Qianxi went upstairs and did not disturb Li Xicheng. After the shower, Su Qianxi climbed into bed and quickly fell asleep. Tired. Being tortured by him in the morning until the afternoon, Su Qianxi was not only physically tired, but also mentally tired. It was said that people were prone to nightmares when they were exhausted. Su Qianxi did not know if it was a nightmare or not. She saw Li Xicheng lying in the abandoned warehouse, eyes closed, hands tied behind him, and a bundle of detonators tied in front of him. The fire was raging. The sky was red, and the iron was red. The entire abandoned warehouse was filled with the roar of the fire. Seeing this, Su Qianxi burst into tears. Without hesitation, she rushed in, picked him up, and tried to wake him up. However, Li Xicheng did not seem to be awake at all. She took the detonators off him and used all her strength to drag him out. He did not wake up, but she could not see clearly because of the smoke. Her strength was getting weaker and weaker. She tried her best to push him out of the fire, but her vision was getting blurry. Vaguely, Su Qianxi seemed to see a figure coming this way. She raised her hand and wanted to shout, but her voice was as soft as a mosquito. What did she say? Her heart aching, Su Qianxi struggled and shouted, "Help him, help!" He was woken up by her and found that she was soaked. His hands seemed to be clutching something tightly. His face was already covered in tears, and his legs were flailing about. He was like a child begging for help in despair and sorrow. Li Xicheng's heart ached. He held her firmly and patted her back gently, whispering, "Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I'm here." Su Qianxi cried even harder and snuggled into his arms, seemingly unconsciously shouting, "It's not her, it's me. Mr. Li, this form of address again." This form of address was filled with fear and alienation. Why did she call him that? Li Xicheng had never understood why. Su Qianxi gradually calmed down, but she was already soaked. Her wet and warm body clung to his, making Li Xicheng a bit restless. However, hearing what she said next, Li Xicheng's heart was aching. "Sorry, Mr. Li, I didn't mean to fall in love with you, I'm sorry," she sobbed softly, helpless and sad. Chapter 263. Tang Menjing stayed at home, carefully writing down every word and recording it as a mother's diary for 10 months. Dark ink appeared on the paper, and Tang Menjing's face was full of a sweet smile. "Baby, this is the 14th week since God sent you to me. Although your father does not want to admit your existence, I love you and look forward to your arrival. Baby, today, Mom is suspected by everyone again. Everyone thinks that you are not Dad's child, but only Mom knows that you are a child of the Li family, the flesh and blood of the Li family. Sooner or later, Mom will bring you back to the Li family and become a legitimate descendant of the Li family. Baby, today I took a lie detector test. Sorry, the expert said it might cause radiation to the fetus, but I still did it. I want your father to recognize me and you and drive the bad woman away. Baby, Grandma finally said she would help me. I am so happy. With the help of Grandma and Grandpa, I will definitely take you back to the Li family and make you a child of the Li family. Are you happy? I am so happy. Baby, today Daddy was almost beaten by Grandpa. I was so scared. If Daddy was beaten, then I would never be able to take you back to the Li family. Fortunately, Grandpa did not do it. He chose to believe Daddy, not Mommy. Remember, Grandpa is a big bad guy. When you grow up, you must avenge Mommy. However, there is good news. Although Grandma seems to help Daddy, she has always believed that the baby you are carrying is the child of the Li family. Grandma loves you and Mommy. When you grow up, you must be good to Grandma. Signed, Love, Mom. Tang Menjing pulled off the cap of the pen and put it aside. She stretched and felt sleepy again. Since she was pregnant, she could not get enough sleep. But when she just went to bed, her phone rang. It was her private number. She picked it up and heard a familiar voice, panting. Menjing, I need your help. All my accounts have been hacked. I don't have any money with me. Please give me some cash. Hearing the voice, Tang Menjing was disgusted and shouted, You have the nerve to ask me for money? If you had not dropped the ball at the critical moment last time, I would not have ended up like that. Hey, didn't I save you? If I didn't help you yesterday, do you think you would be as good as you are today? Now, because I helped you, Z and that psycho Li Xicheng sent people to search me everywhere. Now all my accounts and things have been hacked, and a secret reward has been issued. Now I can't go home. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be like this. Tang Menjing frowned and sneered. Help me? What did you do for me? Yesterday, if I hadn't hacked that video in time, you would have been beaten to death by that old antique father of yours, right? If your father finds out that you've gotten a bastard out of nowhere. What do you mean? Tang Menjing was angry. You're the bastard. This is Brother Xicheng's flesh and blood. There was a silence on the other side of the phone. After a long while, she said, Do you really think that the man that night was Li Xicheng? What do you mean? Tang Menjing was emotional. That man is heartless. If he doesn't want it, I want it. Chapter 264. There was silence again. After a long while, he said, Anyway, I helped you yesterday. Can you give me some cash? A few $100 would be fine. Let me find a safe place to stay for a while. Li Xicheng is chasing me like a dog. Su Qianxi's face darkened. She looked at Su Qianxi. Tang Menjing was a bit disdainful, but she knew that the guy would not lie to her. Where are you? I will have someone send it to you. The guy quickly gave her the address, and Tang Menjing asked the driver to send it over. However, she did not know that the Tang family's house was already under surveillance. This hacker was not as good as Luo Zhan. If he forced his way in, he would be discovered and wanted. He was Tang Menjing's gunman. When he was desperate, he would definitely come to her. Li Xicheng had calculated everything and asked Cheng Yu to arrange for someone to watch over the Tang family. As long as there was something wrong with the Tang family, Li Xicheng's men would immediately notice and report back to their superiors. Go after him. Cheng Yu only said one word. After that, he picked up his phone and dialed the big boss's number to briefly explain the situation. Li Xicheng's voice was cold. Find him even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground. Yes, sir. After a day of classes, Su Qianxi saw Li Xicheng's black Maybach at the gate of the school. Her classmate recognized the car and said enviously, "Your husband is here to pick you up again." Su Qianxi smiled, quickly walked over, and sat in the passenger seat. Why are you here? To take you back to the old house. Li Xicheng took her bag and helped her fasten the seat belt. His voice was rare and gentle. Mr. Song is visiting Grandpa and Mom and Dad. Grandpa hopes that we can have dinner together. When in the Maldives, Captain Li had never thought about having dinner with Song Yifan. After the press conference a few days ago, his attitude toward Song Yifan had changed a lot. After all, their identities were different. Whether he was related to Su Qianxi or not, his attitude of protecting Su Qianxi was enough to earn people's respect. Back at the old house, Song Yifan was surprised to see Su Qianxi. Immediately standing up from the sofa, Song Yifan, who had always been elegant, was at a loss. He called, "Su Qianxi, you're back." She felt warm and nodded. "Yes, I'm back." Seeing this harmonious scene, Old Master Li smiled even more brightly and said, "Little Song, you and your daughter haven't seen each other for a long time, right? You two have a good chat. I'm going to lie down first. I'm getting old, and it's uncomfortable to sit for too long." As he spoke, he got up to leave. "Let me walk you there," Song Yifan suggested. "That's fine. You can have a nice chat with Su Qianxi. I can walk on my own." Captain Li was a bit annoyed and walked away with his cane. Li Xicheng sat down with Su Qianxi. Song Yifan was obviously a bit nervous. Looking at Su Qianxi, he asked guiltily, "You won't blame me for what I said in front of the media that day, right? The situation was urgent, so I didn't think too much about it. It's okay." His indifferent tone was no different from usual. Song Yifan let out a sigh of relief. However, seeing her, he was still nervous and did not even know where to put his hands. Seeing the fruit on the table, he suddenly had an idea and said, "Are you thirsty? Let me peel an apple for you." Then he picked up the fruit knife on the table and picked up an apple that he had brought as a gift. He was about to peel it. "It's okay, Dad." Chapter 265. Seeing Song Yifan's reaction, Su Qianxi swallowed what she was about to say. Feeling embarrassed, Song Yifan blushed and quickly bent down to pick up the fruit knife that had fallen. However, the moment he bent down, his forehead hit the transparent glass of the table, making a clear dong sound. Su Qianxi was shocked and asked, "Are you okay?" Song Yifan felt even more embarrassed. His face was as red as when he performed on stage for the first time. Shaking her head, Su Qianxi looked at his hand and exclaimed. Song Yifan looked down and saw the red liquid coming out of his hand. It turned out that he had been caught off guard and held the fruit knife the wrong way. His palm felt a little itchy when the knife was facing him, but it didn't hurt much. However, Su Qianxi reached out and took the fruit knife from his hand. She complained, "How could I not be careful?" Su Qianxi sat across from Song Yifan. The coffee table was not big, and Su Qianxi could easily reach his hand. Looking at his palm, Su Qianxi saw that his palm had been dyed red with blood, which looked a bit scary. Li Xicheng was a bit jealous. However, seeing Song Yifan's silly look, he could not help but sympathize with him. "Forget it. Just this once." "Lu Sa, bring me the first aid kit," Li Xicheng called. Lu Sa quickly brought the kit over. Seeing the blood on Song Yifan's hand, she gasped and said, "How did you get hurt?" "Wrap it up. I can do it myself." "Thank you." Song Yifan smiled gently. Compared to when he was with Su Qianxi, he was much more indifferent. However, when he looked back and saw Su Qianxi looking for medicine in the first aid kit, he immediately returned to his silly look. Su Qianxi found a band-aid and carefully stuck it on his hand. However, after she did it, she found that Song Yifan's eyes were slightly red. Song Yifan blinked. Seeing her look up, he smiled and said, "Thank you, Su Qianxi." Su Qianxi smiled. "You're welcome. We are father and daughter, aren't we?" Hearing that, Song Yifan's slightly red eyes suddenly became even redder, and there was a clear layer of tears in his eyes. But very quickly, he suppressed it. His voice was extremely low, and with a feeling of oppression, he said, "Yes, father and daughter." Taking a deep breath, Song Yifan realized that he was not calm enough. He stood up and said, "I'm going to the bathroom. Over there." Li Xicheng pointed in a direction. Song Yifan quickly turned around and disappeared around the corner. Seeing Song Yifan's look, Su Qianxi's eyes became a bit red. Seeing her strange look, he asked in a low voice, "Do you want to go to the bathroom too?" She glared at him and pushed him away. Li Xicheng smiled, reached out to rub her hair, and whispered, "He is very happy." "Me too." Su Qianxi's eyes were red as she looked up at him. "I have a father too." Li Xicheng smiled and pinched her face. "And me." Song Yifan sorted out his emotions and looked much calmer after he came back. After having dinner with the Li family and confirming their relationship, Song Yifan left with satisfaction. Chapter 266. "Boss, we didn't catch him. He ran away." Hearing that, Li Xicheng became cold and asked in a deep voice, "You didn't ask them to help?" "Yes." Cheng Yu was a bit embarrassed. "But I was cheated." Li Xicheng was silent for a moment. Cheng Yu's heart was pounding, and she quickly said, "But I took a picture of him." "Didn't Luo Zhan hack his computer? We should be able to find out his identity." "Okay, send it to me." "Yes, sir." He hung up the phone and received a text message from Cheng Yu. He opened it and downloaded it. It was a young man, looking a little flustered, but his facial features were clear. Su Qianxi accidentally saw it, and her heart skipped a beat. Her pupils suddenly shrank, and she blurted out, "Rong Rui." Li Xicheng looked over curiously. "Do you know him?" "This is Tang Menjing's shooter?" Li Xicheng nodded. Su Qianxi's heart was pounding. It was him, Rong Rui. Cheng Yu's husband. But why did Rong Rui become Tang Menjing's target and the main force of Tang Menjing's previous plan to destroy her? However, when Rong Rui pursued Cheng Yu, he was very enthusiastic. In the end, he won her heart and gave birth to a lovely daughter. How could he be related to Tang Menjing now? In the fire, Su Qianxi had seen him, but she had always thought it was an illusion and never suspected him. Now thinking about it, variables. There were too many variables in this life. There were always two lines in Su Qianxi's mind. They were clearly close, but they could not connect. Why was Rong Rui on the same side as Tang Menjing? Why did Rong Rui pursue Cheng Yu? At that time, what kind of role did Cheng Yu play between Li Xicheng and herself? Su Qianxi suddenly felt a splitting headache. Everything suddenly poured over her like a tide, making it difficult for her to digest for a while. What's wrong? Li Xicheng saw her strangeness. Su Qianxi's pupils calmed down. She slowly shook her head and said, "This person is called Rong Rui, from the capital." "How do you know him?" Su Qianxi suddenly did not know how to explain. Looking at Li Xicheng, she said, "When I was dreaming, I dreamed." "You dreamed of it?" Li Xicheng felt it was a bit ridiculous. However, thinking of how she sobbed in her dream last night, he swallowed what he wanted to ask and took her in his arms. "Okay, let's go home first." "I'm serious." She was worried that he would not believe it. Rong Rui is a very dangerous person. He will hurt us. You must be careful of him, and Tang Menjing. They are in cahoots, and Cheng Yu? What does this have to do with her? She nodded and grabbed his sleeve, fearing that he would not believe her. Blushing, she looked into his eyes. He has a good relationship with Cheng Yu, so, as he spoke, the distance between them grew closer and closer. Today, she was wearing a pink round-neck dress. He was a head taller than her, and from his angle, he could clearly see her beautiful and delicate collarbone. There were faint marks on it. Chapter 267. Li Xicheng's eyes darkened. He lowered his head and kissed her lips. Caught off guard, Su Qianxi stared at him with her eyes wide open. However, her lips and teeth were soon pried open. A strong arm wrapped around her waist and held her firmly. His kiss was very light and soft. Su Qianxi only felt that there was a feather gently tickling her heart, and her heart was intoxicated beyond belief. "Ouch, ouch." Captain Li's voice came out. Su Qianxi suddenly opened her eyes and pushed him away out of reflex. Her face suddenly became hot. Turning her head, she saw the teasing smile on Captain Li's face and blushed even more. She called, "Grandpa, I understand. Young people are always hot. But you should pay attention to the occasion." Su Qianxi's face became even hotter. Looking up, she saw the smile in his eyes. She gave him a stare and pinched his hand. "Don't laugh." However, Li Xicheng smiled even more brightly. Taking her into his arms, he looked at Captain Li and said, "Grandpa, let's go back." Go. It's late. Time to go. Late at night, What did that mean? Su Qianxi suddenly felt that she was not pure. She struggled in his arms, but he did not let go. He said, "Yes, it's late. Grandpa, rest early. We will go back to sleep." "Okay, make a baby for Grandpa to hold." "Okay." Su Qianxi blushed even more. Unable to break free, she simply buried herself in his arms and pretended to be dead. Li Xicheng carried her in his arms and said, "Let's go home and make a baby." "Stop it. That's so embarrassing." Su Qianxi wanted to cover his mouth. Captain Li laughed. Li Xicheng directly carried her, opened the door of the passenger seat, and put her in. However, just as he opened the door of the driver's seat, a slender and elegant figure appeared in front of him not far from the car. Tang Menjing saw Li Xicheng put Su Qianxi in her seat with her own eyes. She pinched her arms and almost bit her lower lip. Noticing that he had noticed her, the jealousy in her eyes suddenly disappeared. She forced a smile and said, "Brother Xicheng, I have something to tell you." He did not even bother to roll his eyes at her. Sitting in the driver's seat, he drove away. Tang Menjing's face was covered in exhaust. Her fingers dug deep into her arms, and she was even angrier. His phone rang. It was an unknown number. It must be that useless Rong Rui again. Tang Menjing hung up and turned off her phone. Holding the phone, Rong Rui stood on the side of the road, his heart sinking. Useless cousin, she is just a woman that Li Xicheng doesn't want. If your family knows that you are working for this woman instead of going back to inherit the family business, they will definitely kill you. An enchanting woman yawned. Her long nails were painted with red nail polish. Why don't you go back and be a good young master? How good would that be? Shut up. Rong Rui clenched his phone and threw it on the ground. Rong Anna, it's none of your business. Rong Anna touched her nose, feeling a bit embarrassed. Well, it's my fault. Where is Aunt Rong Xian? Waiting for you at home, and my father and your parents. Chapter 268. However, Rong Rui soon stopped. Turning his head, he looked at Rong Anna and said, "Lend me your phone. You want to smash it again? Text me." Rong Anna reluctantly threw the phone to him. He quickly entered a string of numbers and wrote, "Menjing, I need to go home for a while. I will come back as soon as possible. Don't miss me, Rong Rui." After sending it, he deleted the message and returned it to Rong Anna. Then he got in the car and went back to the Rong family. Rong Anna did not have to look to know who the message was sent to. She sneered and said disdainfully, "You must have been kicked in the head by a donkey." When she got home, Nanny Rong had already left work. She entered the password and entered the door. He parked the car and followed. At the door, he hugged her. Feeling his body close to hers, she blushed and rubbed against him. "We're still at the door. Be careful." Li Xicheng held her in front of him with one hand and pushed her into the door. Closing the door behind him, he whispered in her ear, "Who dares to look?" Su Qianxi blushed even more and wanted to escape. With a scream, she was already in the air. Her body was lifted, and she only felt dizzy. When she came back to herself, her back had fallen on the soft European-style leather sofa. Su Qianxi thought of the craziness yesterday and felt a little scared. She resisted and pushed him away. She tilted her head and panted, "Let's take a shower first." He couldn't help it, but she was so scared. It must be because of yesterday's intemperance that made her uncomfortable. Pulling her up, Li Xicheng held back his discomfort and zipped her up before he got up and said, "I'm going to take a shower first." Su Qianxi blushed, nodded, and whispered, "Be careful of the temperature." It was already autumn, and she would catch a cold if she took a cold shower. Seeing her like this, Li Xicheng wanted to press her down and ravage her. However, there was still a long way to go. If he scared her, it would be bad. Just after he went upstairs, Su Qianxi's phone rang. It was from Kingstown First Hospital. "Is this Miss Su?" "Yes. It's like this. A few days ago, your friend, Mr. Lu's wound hasn't healed yet, and he needs continuous anti-inflammatory injections. However, Mr. Lu disregarded the doctor's advice and insisted on leaving the hospital. I hope you can persuade him. It wouldn't be good if the wound got infected." Louis Han was discharged by force? Why? I'm not sure, but he's not in good condition right now. He had a fever when he was discharged. I hope you can bring him back, or the consequences will be unimaginable. Alright, I understand. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you. Hanging up the phone, she called Louis Han, but his phone was turned off. He was still running a fever when he was discharged. Was Louis Han a fool? Su Qianxi felt a little angry. This guy was really brainless. His phone was turned off, and he was discharged early. Su Qianxi's heart was in her throat. Her first reaction was to look for him. However, Li Xicheng always had an inexplicable hostility toward Louis Han. If he knew that she went to Louis Han, would he think too much? Would he be angry? Thinking of this, Su Qianxi felt a bit annoyed. Chapter 269. When he was discharged, he still had a fever. Was Luihan an idiot? Su Qianxi felt a bit angry. This guy really had no brains at all. His phone was turned off and he was discharged early. Su Qianxi's heart was suddenly in her throat. Her first reaction was to go to him. However, Li Xicheng always had an inexplicable hostility toward Luihan. If he knew that she went to Luihan, would he think too much? Would he be angry? Thinking of this, Su Qianxi felt a bit annoyed. Thinking about it, she still went upstairs. In her room, she wrote a note and put it where he could see it. I have to go out for a while. I will come back early. Li Xicheng saw the note when he came out of the shower. Wiping his hair with a towel, he took his phone and dialed Su Qianxi's number. At this time, Su Qianxi had already gotten a taxi. When she received his call, she felt a bit guilty. What's the hurry? It's so late. Li Xicheng sounded a bit reproachful, but there was more pity in his words. Su Qianxi felt even more guilty and said, one of my close friends broke up in love. I am going to comfort her. After all, she is good to me, okay. Come back early. Li Xicheng did not ask more and hung up. He casually pulled over a robe and put it on, then walked into the study. In the study, there were hundreds of urgent emails that he needed to deal with. He turned on the computer and dealt with business in an orderly manner. It was past 10 p.m., and Su Qianxi was still not back. It had been more than 2 hours since she went out. He dialed another number, but it did not go through this time. On the second call, Su Qianxi picked up the phone. She sounded a bit breathless. Hello. Where are you? I will pick you up. It was very late. Li Xicheng got up and was going to the bedroom to find clothes to change into. Su Qianxi quickly responded, it's okay. I will go back in a bit. Ah. She let out a scream, sounding a bit frightened. Li Xicheng vaguely felt something was wrong and asked, what's wrong? Nothing. My friend is drunk. I will go home after I take her home. Don't wait for me. You go to sleep first. I will pick you up. Give me the address. No need, I'll be quick. All right. Li Xicheng did not insist, but he still changed his clothes in case of an emergency. After changing, he went to the study again to deal with the unfinished work. He opened his mailbox, and a new email came in at the same time. The title was eye-catching. Mrs. Li's night meeting with her boyfriend. Mr. Li, are you cuckolded? His face suddenly darkening, Li Xicheng clicked on it and saw a small forest at first glance. Just in front of the bushes, Su Qianxi got out of a taxi, still wearing the clothes she had worn today, carrying a small bag. In the second photo, Su Qianxi was walking into a community, and this community, it was where Luihan lived. There was a fire in Li Xicheng's heart. He tightened his grip on the mouse, his veins bulging. Pulling it down, she climbed the stairs. Then, Luihan opened the door for her. He fell into her arms, and she helped him into the house. Heh, classmate? Has he fallen out of love? Drunk? He thought that the so-called classmate was a girl. Chapter 270. When she was on the phone, she gasped abnormally and exclaimed, when he did that to her, he suddenly became furious and waved his hand. The computer screen fell to the ground, making a crisp sound. Su Qianxi. Su Qianxi went to his house and rang the doorbell, but no one answered the door. Then she searched all the places he might have gone but did not find Luihan. Finally, she went back to his house. After pressing the doorbell twice, the door opened. As soon as the door opened, Su Qianxi smelled a strong smell of alcohol. She did not expect that Luihan was still drinking like crazy when he was injured like this. When Luihan saw her, he chuckled. Qianqian, it's actually Qianqian. Why are you here? Luihan hit her with a drink, and Su Qianxi avoided it in disgust. However, the next second, Louis Han's body had fallen. She hurried to hold him and found that his body was shockingly hot at the moment. Su Qianxi was shocked and exclaimed, "Do you want to die? Let's go, I'll take you to the hospital." Louis Han did not give up. Leaning on her shoulder, he took a greedy breath and said drunkenly, "No, I don't want to go to the hospital. It's too depressing. I feel like I can die there." Su Qianxi did not notice his strangeness. Hearing what he said, she was a bit angry. "Do you want to die? You are already injured and have a fever. Instead of resting, you are still drinking." Su Qianxi wanted to slap him, but no matter how she dragged him, he was holding the door handle tightly and could not move. She had to help him in. Closing the door, Su Qianxi rummaged through his room but could not find any cold medicine or antipyretics. Instead, she found a bottle of alcohol. She dipped a towel in the alcohol and wiped his face. It was horribly hot. Su Qianxi was a bit panicked and picked up her phone to call an ambulance. However, when she just picked up the phone, Louis Han suddenly grabbed her hand. Su Qianxi was startled and her phone fell to the ground. "Qianqian, why didn't you wait for me?" Louis Han was very drunk. Seeing Su Qianxi in front of him, his eyes were blurry and his wounds were aching. He smiled and said, "Why didn't you wait for me? Is that man really that good? Li Xicheng, is he really that good?" Su Qianxi took his hand away. Although he was unconscious, he was very strong. Her phone rang at her feet. She glanced at it and saw the word "husband" flashing. She wanted to bend down to pick up the phone, but Louis Han wouldn't let go. He could only use his foot to hook the phone. When he finally hooked it, the phone had already stopped ringing. Louis Han grabbed her hand and did not let go. He was talking nonsense with his eyes closed, and his whole body was red. The phone rang for the second time, and she quickly answered. After dealing with Li Xicheng, she dialed 120 and gave the address. Her hand was tightly held, so she simply sat on the ground and waited for the ambulance. However, the ambulance did not arrive. Instead, an unexpected person arrived. Chapter 271. When Su Qianxi saw Li Xicheng, she was surprised, but before she could react, he pushed her away. Li Xicheng squeezed in and immediately saw Louis Han lying on the sofa, all red. The anger in his heart was burning. He strode forward, grabbed Louis Han's collar, and punched him hard. Louis Han was hit so suddenly that he screamed in a daze and fell to the ground. Looking up, everything in front of him was a blur. Vaguely, he could see a black shadow walking toward him. Su Qianxi exclaimed, "What are you doing?" Louis Han was drunk and very confused. Hearing Su Qianxi's voice, he chuckled. Qianqian, however, this intimate word quickly ignited the fury in Li Xicheng's heart. "Bastard!" Li Xicheng strode forward, lifted him up again, and punched him in the face. Louis Han's face quickly swelled. His teeth were almost knocked out, and blood oozed from the corner of his mouth. Louis Han fell to the ground again. His wound was torn open, and bright red blood oozed out. Su Qianxi's heart almost jumped out of her chest. She hugged Li Xicheng's waist with all her strength and cried, Don't hit me." Li Xicheng clenched his fists and did not notice that the other side of Louis Han's body was bleeding. Noticing that the person behind him was actually worried about the guy in front of him, the anger in his heart burned even more irrationally. "Let go. Don't hit me, Su Qianxi sobbed and cried, "It's not what you think. I just don't want you to think too much, so let go." Li Xicheng did not want to listen to her explanation anymore. He forcibly pried her hand away and pushed her. Su Qianxi stumbled. When she came back to herself, Louis Han's scream was heard again. Li Xicheng's strength was great. As the third generation of the Red Army, his family had been very strict with him since he was a child. And now Louis Han was a seriously injured otaku. How could he be his opponent? She panicked and quickly got up. Without paying attention, she tripped over the sofa and fell to the ground. However, it was too late for her to stand up again. She crawled behind them, ignoring Li Xicheng's fists, and stood between them. In front of her, a big fist fell like a meteor. Su Qianxi had goosebumps all over her body. Looking at his fist, she did not dare to move. Li Xicheng did not expect her to suddenly come in. His fist full of explosive power stopped in the air. Out of the way. Su Qianxi's eyes were full of tears. Looking at his obviously angry face, she shook her head, and tears suddenly fell. She whispered, "You will kill him." Hearing that, Li Xicheng suddenly felt it was very funny, but his heart was cold. Cold. A bone-chilling aura emanated from him. Su Qianxi couldn't help feeling scared. Li Xicheng was so scary. Chapter 272. Su Qianxi felt that her jaw was almost broken. It hurt. However, at this moment, she had completely forgotten how to react. Li Xicheng's attitude toward her was exactly the same as his attitude toward her during the period when Grandpa died in her previous lifetime. He wanted to crush and kill her with his eyes. Su Qianxi's heart trembled. Looking at his stormy eyes, she couldn't help but think of him as the Li Xicheng in her previous lifetime. So terrible, so terrible. Noticing that Su Qianxi's body was trembling, Li Xicheng's heart felt like it had been pierced by thousands of arrows, hurting hysterically. She was afraid of him. She was still afraid of him. So, she would rather lie to him in the middle of the night and run out to be with Louis Han than be with him, right? Why? Li Xicheng's voice revealed a hint of imperceptible helplessness. What's so good about him? What's so good about this guy? Hearing this, Su Qianxi did not understand what he meant. Seeing her slightly confused expression, Li Xicheng's fingers tightened. Resisting the urge to destroy them both, he gritted his teeth and said, "Come home with me." Go home, and he would not pursue it. Go home, and he would pretend that nothing had happened. But when Su Qianxi heard this, she subconsciously looked behind her. Louis Han was seriously injured, had a high fever, and had been drinking. Now he was beaten like this by Li Xicheng. Seeing this, Li Xicheng's heart ached to the extreme. In front of him, couldn't she pretend a little? Could it be that the love and affection she had shown him before were all fake? Or, did she like both of them and want both of them? Overwhelmed by anger, Li Xicheng's rationality was gone. Reaching out, he pulled her up from the ground and growled, "Let's go." Su Qianxi exclaimed and struggled to shout, "Wait a minute, Han is injured and has a fever." Li Xicheng squeezed her hand tighter. What should he do? He really wanted to strangle Louis Han so that she could completely focus on him, right? However, he could not. Louis Han deserved to die, but she would hate him. Resisting the urge to destroy him, he picked her up and walked to the door without saying a word. "Wait, Mr. Li." Su Qianxi exclaimed, subconsciously calling him by his nickname. He wanted to crush her in his arms. Walking faster, he quickly carried her downstairs. Su Qianxi panicked and was scared. She yelled, "If this goes on, he will die. In order to save me." "Shut up." He shoved her into the passenger seat, locked the door, and sat in the driver's seat. "Li Xicheng." Su Qianxi roared. "What did you call me?" Li Xicheng finally couldn't take it anymore. He suddenly approached her and pressed her shoulder hard against the back of the chair, gritting his teeth. Her name was Louis Han, and she always called him intimately, Han. As for him, he would always be Mr. Li, who was so unfamiliar with him that he felt cold. Such a difference, such treatment, the importance of their status was obvious. But why? He was clearly her husband. Before Su Qianxi had time to speak, she heard his gloomy words. "It seems that you have not figured out who I am to you. Chapter 273. Su Qianxi exclaimed and subconsciously covered her body. However, there was a huge gap between the strength of a man and a woman. Su Qianxi's hand was pressed down, and Li Xiqing had already pressed her firmly against the back of the chair. Hot kisses covered the sky and the earth. Li Xiqing's strength was amazing, and he was so angry that he wanted to burn her instantly. Su Qianxi panicked and subconsciously wanted to resist. However, the more she wanted to break free, the more Li Xiqing wanted to press her down. Holding her down, Li Xiqing's movements became more and more fierce, wild, and uncontrollable. The angry kiss deepened, and a faint taste of blood flowed between his teeth. She could not tell if it was hers or his. He pressed her hard, as if he wanted to crush her to death and destroy her. Su Qianxi was terrified. She had never seen Li Xiqing like this. He was bad-tempered. She had seen him angry, she had seen him grieve. When he yelled at her, gave her a cold face, and said mean things to her, she could run away and stay away. But why was he like this? Su Qianxi did not know what to do. Her bones were almost broken by him. It hurt a lot. But it was not even 1/10,000th of the pain in her heart. With tears running down her face, Su Qianxi's resistance became smaller and smaller, and she began to cry. Li Xiqing let go of her and sneered, "You don't want to? Huh?" His voice was filled with disdain and sarcasm. His cold tone was like a sharp blade that pierced through her. Here it comes again, the Mr. Li in her memory. Sadness quickly intertwined in her heart. Su Qianxi burst into tears. No, she did not want to see Li Xiqing like this. She did not want to see Mr. Li like this. It was too horrible. Hearing that, the coldness in Li Xiqing's eyes was comparable to the winter snow. He picked her up, pushed his thigh between her legs, and forced her body up. Pinching her face with his big hand, he gritted his teeth and growled, "Don't what?" Su Qianxi stopped crying, gritting her teeth and shaking her head. "You don't want me? Am I right?" His voice was full of helplessness. "You don't want me, but you can accommodate another man." His voice was getting lower and lower. Su Qianxi's eyes widened. Looking at him, her heart became more and more empty. His voice was very low and distant. "Don't you think it's too cruel, Su Qianxi?" The large hand didn't stop. A pair of cold, deep, and serene eyes locked onto her, like the stars in the pitch-black night sky, vast and beautiful. But it was indescribably far away. She was scared and wanted to escape, but he was faster. He pinned her down and restrained her hand. Su Qianxi looked at him, horrified. "Are you crazy? We are on the side of the road." "Ah." Su Qianxi could not escape and was not prepared at all. Li Xiqing felt a little uncomfortable and lowered the chair. Seeing her painful look, he was relieved. So, they didn't, however. Su Qianxi struggled even more and yelled, "No, it hurts. Get out." Realizing that nothing had happened between her and Lui Han, Li Xiqing was relieved and whispered, "Relax." Feeling wronged, Su Qianxi cried, "Li Xiqing, you pervert." Chapter 274. Su Qianxi shivered and hugged him tightly, whispering, "Someone is coming. Hide." He did not care. Holding her but, he sped up. "You are crazy." "Someone, The voice behind the car was getting closer and closer, and a girl's voice came. "He is also a poor guy. I heard that he was injured. The fever was because the wound was infected. It was already dangerous, and he was beaten up." "Ha ha ha. Beaten up? Isn't it? But he deserved it. He drank so much. Fortunately, there is a girl to take care of him." They must have had a fight. The man seemed to hate the girl, and the girl stuck to him, but the clothes that the girl is wearing are so nice. They are all luxury goods. Her skin is so white, and she looks so good in red. the two girls didn't notice anything strange when they passed by the black Maybach that was moving steadily. Under the narrow dark seat, Su Qianxi was obviously relieved. Louis Han lived in 203. Listening to the person they were talking about, it should be Louis Han. Thank God, they finally offended him. However, the girl in red they were talking about sounded like that girl. Did you Lily come here in the middle of the night? Just as she was deep in thought, she felt the thing that had just weakened with great difficulty suddenly swell up again. Li Xicheng knelt on one knee, pressed her on the seat, and whispered, Su Qianxi, give me a child. It was said that once a woman had a child, she would stop being wild. But when Su Qianxi heard this, her eyes immediately widened. Before she could react, her lips were sealed again, and she could not say a word. When Louis Han's operation was over, it was already past 2 p.m. Yu Lily saw the light in the emergency room went off and quickly rushed up, grabbing the sleeve of the doctor who had just walked out, and asked, Doctor, how is it? The doctor took off his mask and said, Fortunately, he can be saved. But don't be so ridiculous in the future. Even a body made of iron can't stand it. Yu Lily let out a sigh of relief and quickly entered the intensive care unit that Louis Han had been transferred from. He was still unconscious, and the bruises on his face made him look particularly wretched. Yu Lily's heart ached. She reached out and gently touched his wound. Her eyes soon turned red. How could this happen? If I know who it is, I will definitely avenge you. Louis Han vaguely heard Yu Lily's voice. He frowned and opened his eyes. As expected, he saw Yu Lily at a glance. With disgust in his eyes, Louis Han turned his head and avoided her hand. His voice was a little cold. Why are you still here? Yu Lily's heart felt cold. She sneered disdainfully. Do you think I want to be here? I'm here to ask you for surgery fees and hospitalization fees. That's a total of 8,000, remember? Oh, give me your account number, and I will transfer it to you. If there is nothing else, you can leave now. Louis Han's voice was cold, and Yu Lily's heart was even colder. However, he still had a look of disdain on his face. Who the F***ck wants to care about you? Damn it, I'm such a busybody. If I had known earlier, I would have let you die there. Then, he seemed to think of something and asked, Who beat you like this? It's so cruel. It's none of your business. Hey, don't be so stingy. Maybe I can avenge you. Chapter 275. Hearing this name, Yu Lily widened her eyes and looked at him incredulously. How is it possible, Li Xicheng? Su Qianxi's husband? Why did he hit you? Louis Han smiled and asked, You don't believe me? No, no. Yu Lily quickly waved her hand. I just feel strange. Why did he hit you? Even Louis Han himself did not know the reason, so how could he explain it to her? Louis Han's head was throbbing. His wounds were much better after treatment, and his body was not as hot as before. However, he was still very uncomfortable. Too lazy to explain, Louis Han waved his hand and said, You go back. I will transfer the surgery fee to you. It's too late, and it's not convenient for a girl to stay here. It's okay. It didn't matter. But before Yu Lily finished her words, her phone rang. It was Oh Ming. This was his fourth call that night. Pursing her lips, Yu Lily did not want to talk to him. Turning off the phone, she turned her head and found that Louis Han had closed his eyes, looking very tired. Reaching out to feel his temperature, Yu Lily's heart ached a little. She went out and asked the nurse on the night shift for alcohol and a towel to cool him down. Looking at Louis Han's face, Yu Lily's heart was indescribably empty. If she did not have a relationship with Oh Ming for money, would she still have a chance with him? Looking down, Yu Lily regretted her decision. Now she was like a canary imprisoned by Oh Ming, trapped in a luxurious cage. It looked good, but there was no freedom at all. How she envied Su Qianxi. Su Qianxi was simple and kind, completely different from her, a vulgar and hateful gold digger. Her life was also impeccable. What made Yu Lily even more envious was that she had Luihan's love. Great! Staying with Luihan all night, Yu Lily did not know when she fell asleep. When she was woken up by the nurse, it was already past 9 in the morning. Luihan was still sleeping. Stretching, Yu Lily stood up and turned on her phone. As soon as she turned it on, the phone rang. More than 50 missed calls, more than 100 text messages. Damn, King retarded. Yu Lily was speechless. As soon as she finished cursing, she received a call from that person. Hey! Yu Lily sounded impatient. Hurry up. Oh Ming was silent for a moment, then he sneered and said, Yu Lily, have your guts grown big? How dare you turn off your phone? What's wrong with turning off my phone? Who doesn't need to sleep? Yu Lily said matter-of-factly. Where are you going to sleep? Who are you sleeping with? Please, Mr. O, I'm not your girlfriend. Why do you care so much? If you're not my girlfriend, then whose girlfriend are you? Pfft. At most, we're just a money and sex transaction. Why are you so into it? Last night, I didn't want to do business with you. Did you have to be so persistent? You. Li. You. Oh Ming was a little angry. Immediately, get your ass to the Shishan Villa area. I know. Damn it, you pervert. Yu Lily hung up the phone but did not leave. Instead, she checked Luihan's temperature. After confirming that his fever was gone, she asked the nurse to take care of him and walked away. However, just after Yu Lily walked out, Luihan had already opened his eyes and looked in the direction of her departure. He had long heard that she was a mistress of a young rich man, but he did not expect it to be true. Chapter 276. When Su Qianxi woke up, it was already the next morning, and Li Xiqing had already gotten up for work. Looking at the time, she was already late for school, so she skipped one class. Suppressing the feeling that his body was about to fall apart, he climbed up and reached out to pull a loose robe over himself. Stumbling into the bathroom, he found that his body was covered in bruises, and he looked very pathetic. Su Qianxi, give me a baby. Then, he did not stop for the whole night. She was so tired that she fainted in the car. When she woke up in the middle of the night, she was already in her own bed, but Li Xiqing still did not stop. Her body was sore, and her eyes were red and swollen. So miserable, Su Qianxi laughed at herself and prepared a hot bath for herself. Lying in the bathtub, she relaxed her body and fell asleep unconsciously. When she woke up, she was already lying in bed, clean. Li Xiqing sat neatly on the edge of the bed, with a simple table in front of him, a notebook and a pile of documents on it. Noticing that she was awake, he glanced at her and continued to work. Su Qianxi looked at him, pursed her lips, and did not say a word. He thought that she had a shady relationship with Luihan. Therefore, all night long, he humiliated her with Luihan, wishing he could kill her in bed. However, she did not. Clutching the quilt tightly, she felt wronged. Pursing her lips, her tears were already falling. Li Xiqing heard her sobbing, and his cold eyes deepened. Putting down the documents in his hand, he said, so reluctant. Su Qianxi's heart felt like it was being squeezed by a big hand, suffocating. Shaking her head again and again, she sniffed and wanted to speak, but her throat was so choked that she could not speak. Li Xiqing turned around and half bent over her. Su Qianxi was startled, holding the quilt and stepping back, her red and swollen eyes wide. He still wanted to do it? However, Li Xiqing did not move next, looking at her with his deep cold eyes and did not speak. Su Qianxi's heart was pounding. Looking at him, she said first, Luihan and I are just friends. There is nothing between us. So, don't mind it, don't be angry." Hearing that, Li Xicheng's eyes darkened and her red lips pressed into a line. After a long while, she said, "I'm sorry." Su Qianxi was confused by his apology and looked at him in confusion. Li Xicheng did not explain and slowly leaned over. Seeing this, Su Qianxi stepped back in fear and almost cried. She begged, "No." Li Xicheng felt a sharp pain in his heart and stopped moving. The feeling of helplessness in his heart grew stronger and stronger. He looked at her and whispered, "Let me look at you. You are hurt." "No need, no need." Su Qianxi's tears fell. "Don't come over, don't touch me, please." Last night, he had completely lost his mind. Fortunately, he asked Luo Zhan to trace the location of the email last night and found a private detective. Only then did he know that such a thrilling thing had happened to Su Qianxi. If it were not for Lui Han, feeling scared, Li Xicheng sent someone to take down the private detective and collected evidence of Tang Menjing's cooperation with the detective agency. However, it couldn't overshadow the fact that he had already hurt her. Chapter 277. After saying that, he really retreated and got off the bed. Seeing her obviously relieved look, Li Xicheng's heart ached even more. Guilt, self-blame, and remorse flooded over him, wrapping him tightly. However, he still did not show any of it on his face. Clenching his fists, Li Xicheng tidied up and left the room. His figure disappeared, and Su Qianxi felt like she had been drained of all her energy. She collapsed on the pillow, unable to summon any strength. For the next 2 days, Su Qianxi slept in the guest bedroom. She did not go to school. After Nanny Rong reported her situation to the old house, Qin Shuhua came to visit her once. Grandpa Li called Li Xicheng and scolded him, while Li Xicheng's father silently sent a bunch of gifts to express his apology. For the next 2 days, Li Xicheng did not go home but stayed up all night at the company. Everyone in the company was forced to work overtime under the pressure of their boss. As the boss at the top of the company pyramid, his mind was busy, but his heart was nowhere to be seen. He thought that not seeing her would stop his heart from aching and feeling guilty. However, the more he could not see her, the more empty he felt. This time, he was wrong. After working overtime until 9 p.m., Li Xicheng got a call from O Ming. O Ming sounded a bit depressed. "Mr. Li, come out for a drink." "Okay." It was rare for Li Xicheng to agree so readily. When O Ming arrived at the destination, he was extremely surprised to see him. Holding a glass of whiskey in his hand, Li Xicheng raised an eyebrow when he saw O Ming. "You are late." "Tisk, tsk, tsk." O Ming looked like he had seen a ghost. "Usually, you are the one who is late. Every time, I have to persuade you to come out with me. What's wrong today? Are you in a bad mood?" Li Xicheng pursed his lips and did not speak, taking a sip of the strong liquor in his hand. Seeing him like this, O Ming knew what was going on. He sighed and said, "We are all in the same boat." Taking the glass from the waiter, O Ming took a sip and sighed. "What's wrong with you? Your wife won't let you sleep with her again?" Li Xicheng glared at him and drank the rest of the wine. He smiled bitterly and said, "I raped her." O Ming spat out a mouthful of wine. His eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. He blurted out, "F*ck. Are you serious? You're committing a crime against the law." Li Xicheng did not speak and poured himself another glass. "That's true, you brat. F*ck, didn't you say that you're not a vile person? Didn't you say that you don't do things that violate morals and ethics? Although she's your wife, this is too much." O Ming's face was full of anger. For someone like him, he never needed to be forceful. He had plenty of ways to make women obediently stick to him. Li Xicheng pursed his lips tighter and took a big gulp of liquor. In the blink of an eye, another glass was gone, and his red lips were red. Seeing this, Ming was secretly shocked. He reached out and snatched the wine glass from his hand. He shouted, "How much wine have you drunk? Stop drinking." Li Xicheng was a little tipsy. Hearing Ming's words, he was a little dazed and asked, "What should I do? She is afraid of me." "Nonsense." Ming wanted to give him a big eye roll. "You raped her. It would be strange if she is not afraid of you. That's not the reason. She was afraid of him. She had always been afraid of him." Chapter 278. From their marriage until now, there had never been a time when he was not afraid. Was he really that scary? Li Xicheng was somewhat puzzled, reaching for the glass in Ming's hand. Unable to grab it, he simply picked up the bottle and drank it. Ming then found that the liquid in the bottle had already been reduced by more than half. Startled, she quickly grabbed the wine bottle from his hand and pressed him down on the sofa. "Waiter, take the wine away. If he continued to drink like this, he would die. This guy had a stomach problem, and sooner or later he would go to the hospital." Ming somewhat regretted asking him out for a drink. As a result, he did not complain about his troubles, but served such a big boss. "Are you King sick? Is this how you drink?" Li Xicheng was a bit dazed. Before Ming came, he had drunk half a bottle alone. However, his consciousness was very clear. There was no more wine, so he would not drink. Li Xicheng sat on the sofa, pushed Ming away, and asked, "What's wrong with you?" Every time Ming called him out, there must be something. It was either a good thing or a bad thing. "Hey, let me send you back. You are like this." "What are you talking about? I am not drunk." Li Xicheng looked at him seriously. Ming took a closer look, pursed his lips, and said, "What else can it be? That woman wants to run away again. I want to ask you, how did you coax your wife? Didn't you sign a divorce contract before?" Li Xicheng's originally tipsy eyes suddenly became extremely clear. Yes, the divorce contract. He actually completely forgot about this matter. Suddenly standing up, Li Xicheng did not want to stay any longer and said, "I have to go first. Let's talk about it another day." Ming was dumbfounded, staring at his back, and cursed, F***ck. But soon he thought of something and chased after him. "How can you drive after drinking so much? I will drive you." Su Qianxi did not dare to see Louis Han, not even daring to call him. Although she was very worried, she still did not go to see him. The things in the guest bedroom were still the things she used before. She put up the small bedside table and turned on the computer to do her homework. She hadn't been to class for the past 2 days, so her classmates had sent her homework and taken notes for her. Although he was in a bad mood, he still had to continue his studies. Otherwise, if he failed at the end of the semester, he would lose a lot of face. Halfway through her homework, she felt thirsty. Putting on her shoes, she went downstairs to the kitchen. When she picked up a glass of water, she heard someone talking. It was Ming. Behind him was a tall and straight figure. It was him. Su Qianxi looked at them with a mouthful of water in her mouth and quickly swallowed it. She drank too quickly, and her throat hurt. "Hello, sister-in-law," Ming greeted. Li Xicheng saw her standing at the door of the kitchen in her white pajamas. His eyes narrowed, and he reached out to cover his eyes. Turning his head, he looked at her sharply. "Put on your clothes." She blinked and looked down at her pajamas. It was a very conservative and normal long-sleeve nightgown. Was there a problem? Seeing her confused face, Li Xicheng's eyes darkened. Glancing at the faint bruise, he reminded her, "Your neck." Su Qianxi was dazed for a moment, and then her face quickly became hot. She turned around and hopped upstairs. Oh Ming was embarrassed. Well, I'm here. Let's go home. Then he quickly left and closed the door. Li Xicheng went upstairs and opened the door, but it was empty. His eyes darkening, he turned around and opened the door of the guest bedroom. It was locked from the inside. Chapter 279. Are you in there? Let's talk. Li Xicheng tried to sound calm, but the coldness was still there. Su Qianxi's back was against the door. Hearing the voice, she bit her lip and did not respond. Li Xicheng waited at the door and saw that Su Qianxi was not going to open the door, so he said, "Go to bed early. I will take you to class tomorrow." Sensing that he was gone, Su Qianxi let out a sigh of relief. Before she knew it, she was already in a cold sweat. After taking a shower, Su Qianxi finished the rest of her homework and turned off the light to sleep. It was late at night. The door to the second bedroom was pushed open, and a tall and handsome figure walked in. His footsteps were light and quiet. In her sleep, Su Qianxi felt a bit uncomfortable. Kicking the quilt away, she moaned, turned over, and continued to sleep. Li Xicheng's cold eyes softened. Bending down, he tucked her in and stood on the side, watching her. Su Qianxi did not know that someone was next to her and slept the whole night. The next day, after Su Qianxi washed up, she heard Nanny Rong calling, "Ma'am, breakfast." "No, I'm going to class." "No, eat a little." Nanny Rong called her. She did not know if it was intentional or not, but her voice was a bit loud. "I'm already thin, and I haven't eaten well these days. If I continue like this, I will become even thinner and uglier." Su Qianxi felt it would be rude to refuse, so she took her bag downstairs and sat down for breakfast. However, after sitting down, a pair of intelligent big eyes darted around, looking inside and outside. However, she did not see what she wanted to see. Looking up, she saw Nanny Rong's teasing eyes. Inexplicably, she felt like she had been caught doing something bad. She blushed and lowered her head. "Sir has gone to work. It is said that the company has a new project and needs to cooperate with a group in the United States. He is going on a business trip to Chicago in the afternoon." "He is going on a business trip?" Nanny Rong nodded. Seeing that Su Qianxi had drunk half of her milk, she added, "Yes, it is said that he will be gone for a few days." "How many days?" Su Qianxi could not help asking. Nanny Rong's smile became more mischievous. She asked, "You don't know? Didn't he go home last night?" Seeing her ambiguous expression, Su Qianxi felt a bit disappointed. Lowering her head, she took a bite of the sandwich in her hand. "He did not tell me. 5 days, he said in a low voice." Su Qianxi stiffened and paused. She subconsciously looked at Nanny Rong. Didn't she say he went to work? How could Nanny Rong lie to her? Seeing this, Nanny Rong turned around and looked at the sky. "Oh, I'm going to do the laundry." He walked over and stopped in front of her. Looking at his watch, he said, "It's 7:30 p.m. I'll take you to school." Su Qianxi was a little angry that Nanny Rong had lied to her, but when she met his gaze, she cowered and whispered, "I can go by myself. Are you sure you can get a taxi here?" This was a villa area, and very few taxis would come here. If he forced himself to wait for the bus, he would definitely be late. So, it was inevitable that she would get into his car. However, when she thought about what he had done to her in the car 2 nights ago, with tears in her eyes, she looked down and did not speak. Chapter 280. Li Xicheng was away on a business trip, and the house was empty again. Su Qianxi tossed and turned in bed, unable to fall asleep. Something was going on in her head, and she did not even know what she was thinking. Suddenly, she got up and opened the bottom drawer of the nightstand. Right there was a translucent file bag with a contract lying quietly inside. What was the point of this contract now? Su Qianxi felt a bit cheap. Despite what he had done to her that day, she had never thought of divorce. Every time he thought of the word divorce, his heart ached to the extreme. She did not want to, no. But, would he use this contract to bind her? Su Qianxi was not sure. Seeing his signature on the contract, she pursed her lips and put it under her pillow. There were still 5 days before he came back. At that time, they would have a good talk about the divorce. 5 days passed quickly. During these 5 days, Su Qianxi went to see Lui Han twice. After apologizing to him, she did not dare to stay long and only dared to see him during the day. On Monday, classes would end late. Su Qianxi walked out of the school gate and saw Li Xicheng's black Maybach instead of Yang's car. Seeing this car, Su Qianxi paused. It was him. Seeing that she did not dare to approach him, Li Xicheng leaned back in his chair in frustration and stuffed the gift he had picked out a long time ago under the chair. Su Qianxi, your husband is here. That car is so cool, a female classmate reminded her. Su Qianxi smiled and pretended not to see or hear anything. She walked to the side of the road with the girl and hailed a taxi. They got in the car and drove in the direction of home. Su Qianxi glanced in the rearview mirror and found that the black Maybach was long gone. Feeling a bit disappointed, she let out a sigh of relief and played with the strap of her backpack. When she got home, she found that Li Xicheng was already there. The car was parked in the front yard. Standing at the door with her backpack, Su Qianxi looked at the door, not knowing if she should go in or not. Nanny Rong was putting away clothes. Seeing Su Qianxi standing there, she asked, "Ma'am, what's wrong?" Su Qianxi shook her head. Seeing her confused look, Nanny Rong said in a mischievous tone, "Sir, you're back. You must have missed something, right? Go in and eat first." She didn't, Su Qianxi pouted and walked in. Li Xicheng was not in the living room. She went upstairs with her bag and found that the doors on both sides were open. Holding her things in his hand, he did not explain when he saw her. Su Qianxi was a little angry and said, "What are you doing? They're still arguing." Why did he want to move her things to the master bedroom? Could it be that he wanted to do something to her? This was too much. Li Xicheng glanced at her and said quietly, "Grandpa is coming to stay for a while." Therefore, he had to make room for his grandfather so that he could move in. Isn't there a guest room? There were more than a dozen empty rooms in a row, and no one was staying in them. Why did they have to clean up her room? Grandpa asked me to stay in the second bedroom. As his grandson, I can't say no, Li Xicheng looked at her and said seriously. Chapter 281. He glanced at her and said matter-of-factly, "Do you want Grandpa to know that we don't get along?" They didn't get along. They were fighting. Before she said anything, he continued, "Do you know why Grandpa came to live here?" "Why?" "He wanted to eat sweets, but because of high blood pressure, my father did not allow him to eat, so he ran away from home." Su Qianxi was stunned. "Really? Ask Grandpa." Even if she asked Grandpa, he would not admit it. However, Grandpa was so old. Would he do such a childish thing? Would he? Su Qianxi felt a bit confused, but seeing his serious look, she knew that he would not lie to her, right? Seeing her suspicious look, he did not care and continued to move her things to his room. "Wait." Su Qianxi was a bit annoyed. "I'll move it myself. I'll sleep in the guest room next door." Li Xicheng heard that and paused. Looking at her, he said, "Why are you doing this? Grandpa will be sad. Grandpa will understand." "How do you want him to understand? Do you want to tell him that we had a fight?" A young couple, Su Qianxi blushed, not knowing whether it was because of anger or shyness. Stomping her feet, she shouted, "Who are you calling a couple? Seeing her like this, Li Xicheng curled his lips and said matter-of-factly, "If you are not a couple with me, who are you going to be a couple with? Don't forget, we got married and had sex." "You." Su Qianxi was so angry that she could not say a word. Her face was as red as a cooked shrimp. Getting married was fine, but what did he mean by having sex? How could he say that so confidently? For the first time, Su Qianxi realized that Li Xicheng was so shameless. "Stop it." He reached out and pointed at her nose. "Grandpa will be here soon. We have to let him move in." Su Qianxi was so angry that she went downstairs with her bag in her arms. Why? Why? It was clearly his fault, but now it seemed as though she was the one who was being unreasonable. Despicable and shameless. Ah! Su Qianxi was furious and threw her bag at the door. Old Master Li Sun picked up a heavy school bag before he even entered the house. He was in a good mood. Bending down to pick up the bag, he walked in with a smile and immediately saw Su Qianxi's angry look. "What's wrong? Why are you so angry?" Seeing Grandpa, Su Qianxi calmed down and greeted, "Grandpa." Just behind Old Master Li, a young man helped him move his luggage in. It really looked like that, but the old man seemed to be in a good mood. Su Qianxi felt strange and asked, "Grandpa, did you really run away from home?" Hearing this, Old Master Li looked confused. "Did I run away from home?" Su Qianxi blinked. When she was about to ask something, she heard the low and mellow voice behind her. Because he was pissed off by his son, he came to find comfort from his grandson. "Grandpa, this is considered running away from home." Realization dawned on Grandpa's face as he nodded. "So that's how it is." Su Qianxi was speechless. What did he mean by that? Wasn't that the case? Chapter 282. Seeing Su Qianxi's strange look, Grandpa nodded and said seriously, "That's right." Then he looked at the ceiling with a lonely expression and said, "My son is unfilial, so I have to rely on my grandson." "Granddaughter-in-law, you don't mind, right?" Su Qianxi quickly waved her hand. "No, of course not. But Grandpa, don't eat candy too often. It's really bad for your health. I'm doing this for your own good." "Candy?" The fake expression on Captain Li's face cracked as he looked at Li Xicheng. Li Xicheng had already looked away and said, "Let's eat." Nanny Rong couldn't help laughing. She put food in their bowls and went upstairs to clean up the room for Captain Li. After tidying up the room inside and out, the last procedure was to change the sheets and quilts. However, when Nanny Rong picked up the pillow, she saw a translucent file under it. "Divorce contract," she sighed. This was not the first time Nanny Rong had seen this. However, what were they doing with it? If Captain Li saw it, it would not be appropriate. Thinking about it, Nanny Rong put it back in the last drawer and locked it with the key. After dinner, Li Xicheng took a shower and went to work in the study, while Su Qianxi was doing her homework in the living room. Captain Li was watching a legal program in the living room. He glanced at Su Qianxi from time to time and then upstairs quietly. After finishing her homework, Su Qianxi said goodbye to Captain Li and went upstairs. Grandpa nodded with a smile. However, when she turned around and went upstairs, he immediately sent a message to his dear baby grandson. Li Xicheng glanced at his phone. About 2 minutes later, he stood up from the computer table and walked to the master bedroom. Su Qianxi stood on her tiptoes to look for her clothes. Nanny Rong liked to put her underwear on the top, saying it was away from the floor and clean. However, this was Li Xicheng's room. Why did she put it on the top? It was too hard to reach. Su Qianxi held her breath and blushed. She pushed the underwear deeper and deeper into the bed until her fingertips could not reach it. But suddenly, there was a shadow behind her. She felt a warmth behind her, and a big hand grabbed a bra and handed it to her. Seeing this big hand, Su Qianxi was dazed. Then, her face turned red, and she snatched the underwear away. She turned around immediately, but she was caught off guard and bumped into his arms. His sturdy and broad chest exuded the aura of male hormones. Su Qianxi's heart raced. Looking up, she saw a pair of eyes as bright as the galaxy, so deep, so dark. Li Xicheng approached her and put his big hand on her waist. He whispered, "Are you still angry?" Hearing this voice, Su Qianxi felt aggrieved again. Angry, angry. Not only was she angry that he had done that to her, but she was also angry that he had humiliated her. Why did he think that she had that kind of relationship with Luihan? Why did he think that she did not have him in her heart? Pushing him away, she gave him an angry stare, turned around, and left without a word. Her manner said it all, she was angry. Li Xicheng's eyes darkened as he pulled her over and pressed her against the wall. Su Qianxi's eyes widened. However, before she said anything, she saw someone standing in the doorway. Captain Li was afraid that they would fight, so he came in to see. However, when he came in, he saw Li Xicheng pressing Su Qianxi against the wall, and she was holding underwear. Chapter 283. Old Master Li hurried out of the room and thoughtfully closed the door behind him. Su Qianxi's blush quickly spread to her neck and the tips of her ears. She was so embarrassed that she almost wanted to find a hole to hide in. Ah! Su Qianxi turned her head and covered her face. Why did Grandpa come in? So embarrassing, so embarrassing. However, Su Qianxi was so embarrassed that she wanted to die, and the man in front of her chuckled. She was ashamed and annoyed, growling, "What are you laughing at? Get out of my way." He did not let her. Pressing her against the wall with his thigh, he whispered, "Grandpa asked us to continue and listen to the elders." Then he moved closer to her. Su Qianxi's eyes widened, and she subconsciously raised her hand, trying to push his face away. However, she completely forgot that she was still holding her underwear in her hand. She put her hand on his face. He looked down and then narrowed his eyes. Feeling the softness on his lips, he opened his mouth and gently bit it. His eyes were wild and dangerous. Su Qianxi felt like she was struck by lightning. Her first reaction was to think of how he bit her, and she couldn't help clamping her legs. Lecherous. Feeling that he was approaching her, Su Qianxi's head buzzed, her heart raced, and her breathing became rapid. But soon, she tilted her head and pushed him away. She ran into the bathroom and slammed the door. Locking the bathroom door as fast as she could, Su Qianxi saw the little woman in the mirror blushing. It's really spring. Rippling, what the hell, shouldn't they be in a cold war? Why did they almost kiss again? Su Qianxi was so embarrassed that she pinched herself and cursed, "You are so useless. Ah, so embarrassing." He stood there, smiling more and more. Pinching the underwear she dropped when she ran away, he looked at the pajamas she put on the bed and raised an eyebrow. It seemed that he could bring her clothes. But just as he picked it up, he heard the bathroom door open. She walked over with a blush, grabbed the clothes from his hand, and ran away as fast as she could, as if she was afraid that he would eat her up. Li Xicheng curled his lips and reminded, "Underwear." Su Qianxi was so ashamed that she almost wanted to dig into the ground. She roared, "No. Oh, it's okay if you don't wear it, I don't mind." She felt her legs were numb. Lowering her head, she decided to ignore him and went into the bathroom. Li Xicheng was in a great mood. After more than a week of depression, he finally had some relief. It seemed that letting Grandpa stay here for a while was the right decision. Next, it was time to prepare for another matter. With a sharp look in his eyes, he opened the door and entered the study. When she came out of the shower and found that he was not there, she relaxed. She put on her underwear and went to talk to her grandfather for a while before returning to her room and falling asleep comfortably. However, in the middle of the night, Su Qianxi was woken up, which was rare. She opened her eyes and found herself firmly imprisoned in his arms. She moved and found that he was breathing evenly, sleeping soundly. However, his hand was pressed on her chest, and she could clearly feel the warmth from his palm. Gritting her teeth, Su Qianxi lifted his hand, trying to move it away. But the next second, his hand fell again and rested on her butt. Su Qianxi shivered and blushed. Twisting uncomfortably, she pushed him away and whispered, "Get out of my way. Don't hug me." However, he was asleep, so how could he hear what she said? She moved away, unconsciously, not knowing if it was intentional or not. Wan Lily thought, "Mr. Li, I did not expect you to be like this." Chapter 284. Su Qianxi straightened her back and involuntarily clamped her legs together. She moved forward reflexively, but accidentally bumped into a suspicious heat. Buzz. Her mind went blank. Her first reaction was to push him away and roll to the side, looking at Li Xicheng in surprise. This fellow was actually not even well behaved when he was sleeping. Was he having an erotic dream? Su Qianxi looked up at him and found that he had not woken up even after she pushed him like that. She quietly let out a sigh of relief and muttered with a look of disgust, "He did not even wake up. He is sleeping too soundly." She consciously moved away from him, huddled on the edge of the king-sized bed, pulled the quilt, and closed her eyes again. Soon, she fell asleep again. She did not notice that the man behind her had sneaked up on her again and raised his leg to clamp her. Su Qianxi dreamed that a big tiger was chasing her, which scared her and made her run away. However, the big tiger directly threw her down, pressed a pair of paws on her chest, and licked her mouth with its tongue. She wanted to resist, but she could not get rid of it. It seemed that she could not move. Feeling that the big tiger was taking advantage of her, she could only stare. However, the movements of the big tiger became more and more unscrupulous. Its mouth moved from her mouth all the way down. Su Qianxi felt itchy on her neck. She reached out and patted a fluffy head. The big tiger seemed to be angered by the slap. It opened its mouth and bit her neck. However, it did not hurt, but a kind of itch spread all over her body, making her shiver and couldn't help whispering. Su Qianxi woke up again. She covered her neck, which was a bit wet, as if she had really been bitten by a big tiger. Looking back, Li Xicheng was still sleeping in the same position as before. There was no change at all. Damn. Su Qianxi felt that she must be too tired to have such a strange dream. She turned over and closed her eyes to continue sleeping. In the dark, Li Xicheng curled his lips and held her in his arms. They slept until the next morning. When she woke up, he was already gone. Going to the bathroom, she saw a strawberry in the mirror where she had been bitten by the tiger last night. Her eyes widened, she was dumbfounded. Did the nightmare come true? Was she really bitten by a tiger? But, wasn't this a dream? Blinking, she suddenly came back to herself. Gritting her teeth, she cursed, "Asshole." He actually took advantage of her while she was asleep. She squeezed the toothpaste and brushed hard. Then she covered the mark on her neck with concealer before she changed her clothes and went downstairs. Captain Li was sitting at the table, reading the newspaper and eating breakfast. Seeing Su Qianxi coming down, he teased, "You're awake?" Su Qianxi washed her hands and sat down. She took a sip of the milk that Nanny Rong had prepared. That kid went out early in the morning. Sigh, I really don't know why he earns so much money. Look at him, he looks like he didn't sleep well. How pitiful. Su Qianxi's mouth twitched. He deserved it. Instead of sleeping in the middle of the night, he did do bad things. However, he just told me to host a make-up wedding for you. Have you picked a date? Su Qianxi was a bit dazed. Make-up wedding? Yeah, that kid looks pretty happy. Why would a grown man like him want these vanity things? He used to hate this kind of extravagant occasion the most. Every time he attended, it was like asking for his life. Now, he actually has to organize it himself. Wan Lily, Captain Lee, does your grandson know you're so gossipy? Chapter 285. As he spoke, he did not forget to look at Su Qianxi. Seeing her slightly shocked face, he immediately added fuel to the fire. I don't know what's wrong with me. I thought it was your idea. It turned out not to be. Su Qianxi nodded. Su Qianxi shook her head and couldn't help smiling. It turned out that he still remembered. She had thought that he just mentioned it casually and would forget about it later. Unexpectedly, he remembered it for so long. Su Qianxi smiled wider and wider. Catching a glimpse of Grandpa's teasing eyes, she blushed and lowered her head. After finishing her breakfast quickly, she left for school. After a day of classes, Su Qianxi picked up her cell phone and found 2 missed calls. It was from Papa Song. Su Qianxi called back and forth, and it was soon answered. Song Yifan's voice came through. Su Qianxi, are you free tonight? Yes. Are you back in China? It was not the first time Song Yifan had called Su Qianxi, nor was it the first time he had heard Papa. However, every time he heard it, he couldn't help but feel happy. With a smile, Song Yifan said, Yes, I'm back today. Your Uncle Sheng is going to have hot pot at home, and he wants you to bring your husband. If you are free, you can come with us. Hearing that, Su Qianxi was a bit confused and said, I'm afraid that's not possible. Grandpa has been staying with us for a while, and we have to have dinner with him. I see. What a pity. Song Yifan's voice was full of pity. Your Uncle Sheng bought a lot of ingredients, but it seems that they are going to be wasted. Then why don't you come with Uncle Sheng to our house? It's cold now, and hot pot is perfect. I will ask Nanny Rong not to cook. Okay, I will call Shiming. They reached an agreement and quickly settled the matter. Captain Lee had a good impression of Song Yifan and Sheng Shiming. Sitting in the living room, they had a good time talking. Li Xicheng had always been a man of few words. He would only say a few words at critical moments, and the rest of the time, he just listened quietly. Su Qianxi and Nanny Rong worked in the kitchen for more than half an hour before the ingredients were processed. The aroma of the soup spread far. It's ready. Su Qianxi shouted, drooling at the aroma. Nanny Rong prepared bowls and chopsticks for everyone and quickly asked them to sit down. Under the old man's insistence, Nanny Rong reluctantly sat down. The ingredients went down one by one. Su Qianxi picked something for herself and ate happily. When she was almost done, a big hand picked up a piece of meat, dipped it in the sauce in front of her, and put it in her bowl. Su Qianxi was flattered. Looking up, she saw Li Xicheng's calm face. It was as if he wasn't the one who had just picked up the meat for her. Without any hesitation, he stuffed the meat into his mouth. However, when a certain someone saw that she had finished eating, he reached out and picked up another green vegetable for her. Then, he picked up meatballs, seafood, meat, and all sorts of other things for her. She had tried to eat as fast as she could, but still could not keep up with his speed. Seeing that her bowl was piled high, she said with a bitter face, Don't take any more, I can't finish it. It's okay. He put down the last piece of meat calmly. I'll eat it if I can't finish it. Chapter 286. Hearing Grandpa's words, everyone couldn't help laughing. Li Xicheng also curled his lips and picked up a piece of vegetable with his chopsticks. Putting it in Grandpa's bowl, he said, Here you go. Grandpa was speechless. Su Qianxi chuckled and reached into the pot to get something for Grandpa. Grandpa snorted and tilted his head. No sincerity. Song Yifan and Sheng Shiming laughed. The atmosphere was relaxed during the meal. Su Qianxi could not finish her food. Looking at the half-full bowl of food, a big hand reached over and took her bowl away. Holding the chopsticks, he began to eat slowly. His movements were elegant, but Su Qianxi blushed. That was what she had eaten before. How could this guy do that in front of so many people? The elders were also very sensible. They pretended not to see it and continued to chat happily. After the meal, Nanny Rong cleared the table and asked Su Qianxi, who was going to help, to cut the fruit. Su Qianxi sat down on the coffee table with the fruit platter and gave each of them a piece of fruit. Naturally, she sat down next to Li Xicheng. Song Yifan happily took it, looked at Li Xicheng, and asked, "Have you decided on the venue?" "Ireland." Li Xicheng's eyes softened as he glanced at Su Qianxi. Ireland, a country that did not allow divorce. In this country, there was a beautiful rule for marriage, which was the most beautiful vow he had ever heard: only death could separate us. Su Qianxi heard that and was a bit surprised. She asked, "Why? It's so far away." Li Xicheng's eyes darkened. With a smile, he simply said, "Beautiful." "Oh." Su Qianxi nodded. "But I want to go to Venice. It's even more beautiful there. Ireland first, then Venice for our honeymoon." "Honeymoon? Didn't we already have our honeymoon? In the Maldives, that doesn't count." Li Xicheng slowly took a sip of tea and said, "Next time, the two of us will go together." Hearing that, Captain Li was not happy. He stared at Li Xicheng and said, "So you think your grandpa is the third wheel? Who was the one who worked so hard to coax his wife every time? To think that he had taken such a big risk. This time, it was also because of his help that they could reconcile so quickly." The old man's heart was bitter, and his face was full of anger. "Io, there's no justice in this world. It's not easy to feed a grandson. If you're not careful, you'll become an ingrate." Li Xicheng smiled. "Grandpa taught me well." The old man glared at him, turned his head, and decided to ignore him. "This is really infuriating, Grandpa." With a smile on her lips, she was overflowing with sweetness. What should she do? She felt so happy that she was about to fly. She had a cute grandfather, a father, and him. From the corner of his eye, Li Xicheng saw her lips curl up and her aura soften. It was rare for her to be approachable. Seeing their reaction, Sheng Shiming was no longer worried. Seeing Sheng Shiming looking at her and Li Xicheng, Su Qianxi blushed. Forcing down the smile on her face, she picked up the fork and handed it to him. "Uncle Sheng, have some fruit." Sheng Shiming chuckled, took the fruit, and took a bite. "Me too." His voice was cold, but Su Qianxi could hear the coquettishness in his voice. "Wan Lily, Mr. Li, does your family know you're so coquettish on the inside?" Chapter 287. Su Qianxi pretended not to hear him, picked up the fork in front of her, and put a piece of apple in her mouth. After taking a bite, Su Qianxi felt a shadow leaning over. The fork in her hand shook, and the apple on it was bitten again. Su Qianxi blushed. Looking at Li Xicheng, who was chewing calmly, she said angrily, "Why didn't you take one for yourself?" He was trying to steal her food, biting the part she had just bitten. Ah! And this was in front of the elders. Even if he was shameless, she was. Su Qianxi saw the ambiguous looks from the elders and blushed even more. She lowered her head. Li Xicheng did not realize that at all and said matter-of-factly, "The one you took was sweeter." "Hey, Song, the two of us are still single. We can't take it anymore." Sheng Shiming could not stand it anymore and stood up. Song Yifan was also in a good mood. Seeing Su Qianxi happy, he also felt very happy. Hearing Sheng Shiming's words, he also stood up and said, "Okay. I have something to deal with anyway." Let's go. Su Qianxi gave Li Xiqing a stare, stuffed the rest of the apple in her hand into his mouth, and stood up to see them off. After seeing Song Yifan and Sheng Shiming off, Captain Li said he was going for a walk. Su Qianxi hurried to follow him, and Li Xiqing did not want to be left behind. The three of them went out together. The environment around the villa was very nice. Although it was already autumn in Kingstown, it was in the south after all, and the surrounding environment had not changed much. The greenery around the villa was very good, with luxuriant branches and leaves. Captain Li sighed. You really know how to enjoy life. I didn't even know you lived in such a nice place. Li Xiqing helped Grandpa up and said casually, if Grandpa likes it, we have another one in the back, a little bigger than the one we live in now. Why would an old man like me live in such a big house? It's not like I have any great-grandchildren to take care of. Hearing this topic, Su Qianxi consciously did not continue the conversation. However, Li Xiqing was very happy to talk about it. He said, I can do it any time. It depends on her. Captain Li looked at Su Qianxi and sighed. Qianqian. Su Qianxi suddenly shivered and coughed. Grandpa. Sigh, Grandpa is getting old. I don't have much time left. Nonsense, she interrupted him. You are in good health, and you will live a long life. In her previous lifetime, when she divorced Li Xiqing, Captain Li was also very healthy. If it were not for Tang Menjing, as if he hadn't heard what she said, Captain Li continued, it would be great if I could see you give birth to a great-grandson for me. I could hug him and dote on him in my lifetime. Su Qianxi said weakly, I'm still young. I haven't graduated from college yet. More importantly, she wasn't ready yet. Now everything she owned seemed to have been stolen by a thief. She did not feel safe at all. She was afraid that one day, when she woke up, she would find that this was just a dream. After waking up from the dream, without Li Xiqing, he became Mr. Li again. After waking up from her dream, she was still a murderer, facing the outcome that she was most afraid of. Holding Grandpa's arm, she slightly tightened her grip. Captain Li also realized that he was in too much of a hurry. He smiled and said, no hurry. Let's talk about it when you are ready. Qianqian's happiness is the most important. Don't you think so, boy? Chapter 288. Li Xiqing nodded and looked at his watch. It's 9:00. Let's go back. Yeah, let's go back. I'm getting old, and I'm tired after walking for a while. On the way back, Captain Li and Li Xiqing talked about the wedding again, from the design of the venue to the chef at the time, no matter how big or small. Su Qianxi listened to them, like an outsider, and was dumbfounded. There were so many things that she really did not understand. It turned out that there were so many things to pay attention to and prepare for at the wedding. However, the main character of this wedding seemed to be herself. Back home, Su Qianxi found that she was not as resistant to contact with him as she was last night. Clearly aware of her change, Su Qianxi looked up at the sky helplessly. Women, they really changed faster than the weather. After the shower, she found Li Xiqing was still working in the study. She sighed and suddenly felt sorry for him. Li Xiqing's hard work was not something she could understand. Although Li Xiqing's starting point was higher than many people because of Captain Li's name, there were very few people in Kingstown or even the whole country who could grow a company to this level in just a few years. Su Qianxi remembered that 1 year in her previous lifetime, a magazine made an inventory of the fastest-growing companies in China, and Li's company ranked first. Not long after that, the list of the most valuable men in China under the age of 30 was made, and Li Xiqing ranked first. Then, it was the list of the most expensive men in China, and Li Xiqing was still first. Curling her lips, Su Qianxi felt a bit proud. Sitting on the bed with a pillow in her arms, Su Qianxi thought of what he said today about the wedding and the honeymoon. What should I do? Su Qianxi felt she was so happy that it was unreal. Lying on the bed with a pillow in her arms, she rolled over comfortably. All she could think of was how he looked when he ate her leftovers and when he snatched fruit from her. Don't think about it, don't think about it. Covering her face with a pillow, Su Qianxi kicked her legs. Too easy to satisfy. Happiness will fly away. Seeing her covering her face and talking to herself, Li Xicheng couldn't help smiling. He quietly went over, put his big hand around her waist, leaned over, and whispered, "It won't." Su Qianxi's body became stiff, and then she felt embarrassed. He couldn't have heard it, right? Boo-hoo. What should I do? The cancer of embarrassment is acting up. Covering her face with the pillow, she felt hot all over. Li Xicheng took her pillow away and said in amusement, "Do you want to suffocate yourself?" Su Qianxi felt too ashamed to see anyone, covering her face and turning around. Li Xicheng couldn't help smiling and said, "I'm going to take a shower." "Ah, take a bath, take a bath." Su Qianxi's heart was pounding, and she hid under the blanket. Why did he have to tell her? She would think a lot. She twisted in the quilt, closed her eyes, and forced herself to sleep. But why was she so excited? She was so excited that she couldn't sleep at all. Phew. I'm thirsty. She lifted the quilt, put on her shoes, and went downstairs to the kitchen. Drink water, drink water. After drinking 2 glasses of water, she felt thirsty. When she was drinking the 3rd glass, the phone in the living room rang. Dragging her slippers, she walked over and saw that the number was from the old house. Chapter 289. Picking up the phone, she heard Qin Shuhua's voice. "Mom," Su Qianxi called. Hearing it was her, Qin Shuhua asked, "Is Xicheng there?" "He is in the shower." "Oh, no wonder he did not pick up. Ask him to call me after he is done." "Yes, what's up?" "It's late." "Nothing. I'm hanging up." Qin Shuhua did not want to chat with Su Qianxi at all. The busy tone made Su Qianxi feel a bit disappointed. Walking upstairs, Su Qianxi's phone rang in the study. She walked in and saw Li Xicheng's phone screen flashing. It was Tang Menjing. Su Qianxi picked up the phone and did not say anything. Tang Menjing's sobbing voice came from the other end of the line. "Brother Xicheng, are you busy?" Then she seemed to be sobbing hard. "I'm in so much pain. The doctor said I'm having trouble with the baby. The baby is very uncomfortable. Can you come and see me?" Su Qianxi heard Tang Menjing's voice and tightened her grip on the phone. Had trouble with the baby? The baby was uncomfortable? Su Qianxi felt a bit uncomfortable, but surprisingly, she did not feel as uncomfortable as before. Walking out of the study, she said, "My husband is in the shower." Hearing Su Qianxi's voice, the crying stopped. Su Qianxi continued, "It's too late. We are going to bed. Is there anything else?" There was no sound from Tang Menjing's side, so she hung up the phone. Su Qianxi pouted and opened the door. Li Xicheng had just come out of the bathroom. There was only a white bath towel on him. His short curly hair was dripping water down his tanned skin. Su Qianxi blushed and looked away, deliberately not looking at him. No matter how many times she looked at his body, she could not help blushing. When he was about to speak, he glanced at the phone in her hand. Raising an eyebrow, he walked past her, closed the door, and locked it. Then he came over and hugged her from behind. Su Qianxi felt the heat on her back and blushed even more. Twisting her shoulders, she said, "Dry your hair first. It's wet." Not only did he not move away, but he also burrowed his head into her neck. Glancing at the phone in her hand, he said, "Are you checking on me?" "Not at all." Su Qianxi felt a bit uncomfortable when he crawled over, so she pushed him away and said, "I just took a call." "Yes, and then?" she said. Before he could finish, the phone in his hand vibrated. It was a call from the old house. Mom seems to be looking for you. Taking the phone from Su Qianxi's hand, Li Xicheng turned it on speaker without hesitation. Qin Shuhua's voice immediately sounded, "Hello, Xicheng." "Yes. I have something to tell you." "Is Qianxi here?" He glanced at her. "What is it that you need to tell her?" "It's nothing much. I'm just worried that she'll be unhappy." "What is it?" "Tang Menjing went shopping with me today and was scared by a hooligan. Her baby is in danger. Can you come and see her?" Su Qianxi panicked and looked at Li Xicheng. Li Xicheng's eyes were even colder, and his voice was a bit sarcastic. "What does it have to do with me? You can't say that. After all, that child was very likely to be his." You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.